just who we are, mate.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I hope you lost it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Mate, do you know, it's half hot in here. And I can't... So you don't realise what it's like. I've had Arteta on. I'm going to have to take this off, mate. Well, I can't.
No? You what?
Wow, it's hot. I've got to take my top off, mate. I can't keep doing this, mate. I can't keep doing this.
What is going on?
What? What do you mean?
What is this?
Which what?
Is this talkSPORT merch?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Oh my God, he's got a shirt. You've now got a shirt on. You're kidding me. What is this shirt? What is this?
I don't know what you're on about, mate. I just knocked this whole thing up.
So for people who are not watching on YouTube right now, Cundy has got a T-shirt with the Ange mask. I've seen signs, encouraging signs. Is this talkSPORT merch? Where are you getting this stuff from? Who is making this stuff for you? It's bang out of order. I'm going to HR. This is not on. Honestly, they're gonna go off the shelves. Then, by the way,
and Spurs.
They are going to go off the shelves. Who made that?
I did.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Who would want the Chelsea job right now? We understand Andoni Iraola is the leading candidate. Here's talkSPORT presenter and Chelsea fan Olivia Bazaglo.
With the situation at Bournemouth and the setup he had there, and I just don't know if Andoni Iraola would even come and work at Chelsea. No. I just think it's a complete mess at the moment.
Under-21 coach Callum McFarlane steps up again after Rosenior's sacking. A worried John Terry's on TikTok saying Chelsea's players must forget the noise and focus on their FA Cup semi-final with Leeds.
I'm not sure what Callum's backroom staff is going to look like. I've not had a call, I've not had a message. I will be continuing my role in the academy.
Chelsea versus Leeds is live on talkSPORT this Sunday. Meanwhile, Daniel Farke's told us Leeds' last gasp draw at Bournemouth feels like a win. Leeds almost certainly safe now on 40 points. At the other end, Pep Guardiola thinks Man City will have to win every game from here to clinch the title. City are top on goals scored following that 1-0 win at Turf Moor, which relegates Burnley. Over 100 people have clicked apply to be Tottenham's new first-team psychologist. The club posted an ad on LinkedIn. That's after Roberto De Zerbi said the players needed to change their mentality. Bryson DeChambeau is apparently working on a new Live Golf contract. That's despite uncertainty over Saudi funding. Meanwhile, Barry Hearns told us talks over Saudi snooker events are ongoing.
Snooker's in a very strong position. We've got a lot of customers that want events and not many days. So if we get to that situation, we've got plenty of homes for other events.
And in Rugby League, four-time Super League winner Brian McDermott is the new England coach. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
We could be facing phone, signal and data shortages in the coming months, and maternity care will be overhauled as the chief midwife says it's not good enough. Sinead has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Keep spring journeys safe. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com to book your tyres, MOTs and servicing so you can drive away happy every time.
A fine sunny day, warm for most of us, chillier along eastern coasts where it'll stay cloudy, windy in the southwest.
Sam Ryder! Please welcome back Will Traeger. You have 4 billion more listens than there are people on the planet.
On the planet?
Sad I've missed coming on the show.
It's your WhatsApps, it's your WhatsApps, it's your WhatsApps, it's your...
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. So, 106 days into a 6-year contract, Chelsea sacked Liam Rosenior. What's worse, Chelsea having a vision to appoint Rosenior in the first place, or bottling their convictions by not seeing it through? Meanwhile, Manchester City leapfrog Arsenal to go top. But do we now have to scrutinise scorelines as well as results? Also today, are Burnley the ultimate yo-yo club led by the ultimate yo-yo manager? Can you put a price on the world's premium sporting events? Should football be used to repair political relationships? And from midday, we talk boxing with fight pundit Spencer Oliver. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Someone's got a smart mock neck, haven't they?
I was hoping you'd notice, and you've noticed right away.
Very nice.
I was taking some sartorial advice from Mr. Jordan the other day and acted upon it. It didn't break the bank, and it feels very comfortable.
Very good.
Thank you so much for It
You're
just
welcome.
makes it for me that you noticed.
We can continue with our trip down Tweedledum and Tweedledee lane that Souness accused us of getting things in job lots, right? Remember those years ago?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, Graham Souness. That's
Yes.
right. I remember him saying that. Simon, here's the thing. I was at Charlton Athletic against Ipswich last night.
Big win for Ipswich.
Wow, what a support they took to the Valley last night as well. Mark Ashton, the chief exec, sitting in front of me. Quite funny, I was chatting to Mark as he took his seat. We both look up, and Greg Doherty had put Charlton 1-up inside the first minute.
But they won.
They won.
Job done.
Thanks to my good friend Jim Rodwell, Charlton chief exec, for inviting me down there. It is a great stadium. I know what you think of Charlton, probably in your time at Palace. You weren't best friends with Charlton fans. But that's by the by. What a great stadium the Valley is. I love it. I mean, it's a Premier League stadium, isn't it?
Is it?
Why is it? Why are you not coming with me on this? Well, there were 20,000 at the game last night.
How many did Ipswich bring? How many did Ipswich bring?
I'm not entirely sure. Probably about 3.5, maybe.
Okay. So not bad for home support for Wednesday night, 16,500.
Sure.
It's Charlton back in a decent league.
Yeah.
Languishing elsewhere for a number of years where they belong.
I knew we'd get to that. Tony, a good friend of mine who's a Millwall fan, got in touch this morning. You see, Ipswich have been awarded 8 penalties, scored 7 of them. We never get a penalty, says Tony. No one likes us. We don't care. He finishes his message.
The Premier League will get a massive penalty if those are about to get promoted.
Yeah. A lot to get through this morning. Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs were on this yesterday, Simon.
Yep.
And the story started rumbling about Liam Rosenior. And our boys were all over it at 12:30 onwards. Liam, if you're listening this morning, sorry about what has happened with you, mate, because I know you're a very proud man, and we both like you, and we both hope you're back in the game soon. But 106 days into a 6-year contract, and Chelsea have sacked Liam Rosenior. The wording of the Chelsea statement, Simon: recent results and performances have fallen below the necessary standards, with still so much more to play for this season.
Yeah.
Everyone at Chelsea wishes Liam every success. Yeah, we thought you would. The final line: as the club works to bring stability to the head coach position, we will undertake a process of self-reflection to make the right long-term appointment. It's a bit late for that, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. I mean, look, they've made a mistake, haven't they? And whatever the reasons behind the mistake are, that mistake has become clearly evident. You saw it in Liam's demeanour after the game. I said to you, he looks forlorn, and the emotion that comes out in me is pity. And when you start pitying a football manager, then they're going to have to get their coat because they're nearly done. The players weren't going with him. I don't think the players disliked him. I just don't think they really understood what he was saying and followed his thinking. And he didn't communicate with them, and they didn't follow. And the players, being players, are quite mercenary. They want what they want. They want the team to be successful. They want to be in the Champions League themselves. A few of them probably want to go. Cucurella and Fernandes have had their little piece, and that's probably them out the door. And that's created a backdrop. There'll be nuance and context, and people will have a go at me because I called Eghbali compelling. They won't have listened to what I actually said. What I said was, in commercial terms, listening to what he said about player contracts and all the discussions about 8-year deals and stuff like that and how he plays his players, is quite compelling. And looking at his vision, if he can achieve it, he's compelling, and he's quite a compelling individual, one of the most compelling people I've met, because I've met some really stupid people in football. So it's a low bar. But the fact of the matter is that will be used to whip me with by other people that didn't listen to what I had to say. I think it's a bad decision. I think the nuance behind it, if you look behind it,
What's a bad decision? Appointing him or sacking him?
No, I think they probably have to sack Liam because I don't think he was going to take them forward.
They have to sack him?
Well, I think if you don't believe someone can take you forward, if you believe that despite the background noise, that they've got the ability to overcome the current malaise, then you shouldn't sack them. You should weather the storm. If you look at them and you think, or no. The reasons why I brought you in are flawed. The decision that I've made is wrong. I need to change it because I don't think the future gets any better for either one of us. I don't think it gets better for me as the owner of the team. I don't think it gets better for the players and their aspirations. And I don't think it gets better for the fans. And I don't think it gets better for you. And I think the context of it, if you look at it, I think there's more nuance to this. I think the Maresca situation, how it happened with Maresca emptying the contents of his handbag over the table, then putting his lipstick on, pouting and leaving out the side door, left them in a situation where they needed to appoint a manager. They had a situation with Liam Rosenior, where I think that they were indicating to Liam that at some point he was going to get the Chelsea job if he kept on developing the way he developed. I think it came too fast, and I think there were also other clubs that were interested in Liam at that particular time, and they took a decision: if we don't give him the Premier League club, if we don't give him the job now, he may go to another Premier League club, and we'll take the risk that actually what we've seen is good enough to take us forward.
So what if he went to another Premier League club now?
Well, that's
so
the risk.
What? Then he would get more experience under his belt.
Absolutely, that's the benefit of hindsight.
So why would you make that promise to him?
Because if you've made a promise to somebody, and this is my supposition based upon a degree of education, that was a decision that they saw someone developing, they thought they were worth the investment, and they thought they could bridge the gap between what he doesn't know and what he will learn quickly, and they've got it wrong. By the way, at no point, for what my opinion is worth, have I ever suggested that I thought it was a brilliant decision to put Liam Rosenior in. I've always said I liked him. I always felt that he had a lot to learn and he was going to learn on Chelsea's dime. And unfortunately for Chelsea's ownership, what they've done now is they're not winning on any front. They're not winning in the way they communicate with the fans. No. They're not winning with the fans full stop. No. They're not winning on the field.
This is a mess.
And they're not winning with their appointments.
So
they need to fix it.
Have Blueco, Igbali and Bowley, have they simultaneously built Rosenior up at Strasbourg to tear him down at Chelsea?
Well, that's the direct consequence of it, isn't it? I mean, the reality of it is for Liam, he is now, in people's minds, a person that communicates in a certain way which is not particularly good. He's somebody that's been over-promoted, and I think he'll suffer as a result of it.
That's irresponsible ownership, isn't it?
Well, that's what I said yesterday. I said it's.
So are you changing your opinion then?
No, I think you can listen. You can have two opinions at the same time, and you can pivot off them, and people can make individual decisions that you criticise. And my overall perspectives, do I think they'll get it right in the end? Yeah, I do.
Well, they'll need to. Well, there've been so many stabs at it.
Of course they will. Of course they need to get it right.
What evidence do you think they'll get it right in the end, Sam? At the moment, you look at Bowley and Igbali, and you're looking at the Blunder brothers.
Because these people are successful in other walks of life, and eventually they'll be successful in this. And they might take a lot of pain, they might alienate themselves, and they might spend a lot more money than they should do to achieve it. But the bottom line is, if you want someone to be successful in an industry, look at someone that's been successful before. Now, what they need to do is learn some really serious lessons from the decisions that they've made over the last 4 years. Football isn't the same as any other business. They may well have fallen into the trap of listening to the wrong people. They may well have fallen into the trap of believing that they can superimpose values from other industries into this industry.
Yeah.
They've now found out. They've made themselves look foolish. They've consequenced themselves. They've put themselves in jeopardy. The fans are offside now. I mean, I think the best article that's been written recently is what Matthew Syed wrote, which is a damning indictment of the Chelsea fans and their attitude towards their previous owner.
We'll come to that.
But I also think they've got to learn quick. Now, they're going to leave the other guy in place, I suspect, to run the rest of the season, because quite frankly, the dressing room is going to run it. These group of players, they haven't got many leaders in there, but notwithstanding that, they'll make their own decisions for the next 5 or 6 games. They'll turn up on the weekend. This other kid that's going to run the team for them is going to have no experience. He's just going to be a holding voice. And they may well bring someone in that's got some Chelsea background to help him for the next 6 to 7 games, including the Cup semi-final. And then they need to think, like they're saying, that's communicating to the media. They need to look at their comms. They need to look at how they're communicating with their fans. They're looking at how they're communicating with the football fraternity. They need to look at how they're communicating full stop. And I'm sure they will.
I want to ask you 2 things before we hit the first break. We've got a lot to get through, and we're going to stick with Chelsea at the moment. What's worse, Simon? Chelsea having a vision to appoint Rosenior in the first place, or bottling their convictions by not seeing it through?
Well, you have to see things through. If you believe that the bump in the road is nothing more than a bump in the road. If subsequently you're seeing something and went, that's not what I thought I was getting. That's different to what I thought I was getting. And when I've put him into a situation like how many people have walked into Man United and cannot believe the outside influence and pressure that Man United have, you think all these guys must be aware of this. They must be aware that you're walking into a goldfish bowl and everyone's going to be on you dawn till dusk. But they seem not to be.
No.
Right? So here we are now in another situation, which is They must, in my view, they must have. I would have looked at it. Being a hedge fund and private equity guys, a big part of their profile is looking at risk. I would have been looking at it going, how strong is this chain and what's the weakest link? The weakest link is he can't translate. Are we prepared for that and be able to bridge the gap with him? Who's he bringing in with him? Who's the experienced voice that adds value to what he's saying? None of that seems to be factored into their thinking. So now where they are now is the bottling terminology, bottling it probably would have been keeping him on. If you think he's done, if you think the dressing room doesn't want to have anything to do with him, not because they don't like him, but they can't make head nor tail of what he's saying,
right?
And at the same time you think there's no way forward, keeping him in a position is bottling it. You have to take the brickbats now and go, everyone thinks I'm a twerp, I'm going to take the consequences of it, and whatever happens, I'm going to have to bear the consequences of that. But there's no point staying with him if you think he's done.
Well, you consistently said they'll get it right eventually. 4 years in, how and why is this ownership continuing to make a mess of it?
I think for a number of fronts. I think you don't operate in a vacuum. Other sides are still far more advanced than Chelsea are at this moment in time and have gotten better and better. So Chelsea just can't rock in and spend their way to success. I think they've made bad decisions. I don't think losing Tuchel was a bad decision because they had no choice with his behaviour. I think the Potter decision was a bad decision. You can put that down to inexperience. I think bringing Frank Lampard in was a second time round to bridge the gap between when they got rid of whoever they got rid of. I think it was Potter, wasn't it? Was a bad decision. And they've made a few of them.
Have they got anything right?
Well,
name me something that they've got right.
I think they got. I think the vision of Maresca was right, but they gave Maresca a chance. What Maresca turned into, and people won't want to hear this, they'll think it's me giving an excuse to an owner, right? What happened, and I think what they think, was that the worst thing that could have ever happened to Maresca was winning the World Club Championship, because all of a sudden he went up 50 leagues in his own mind.
Yeah.
Rather than be the manager that was coming out of Leicester, accepting this huge opportunity at Chelsea, understanding the parameters he was working within, a year later didn't want to work within those parameters because he'd achieved some modicum of success.
Right.
So I think they got it right with Maresca, but the end result was he's an immature manager that got success at Chelsea too quickly and it went to his head. Now, people will say that's me defending the ownership, and I'm sure that I'll get plenty of people criticising me for my take. But there is a contrasting view to everything in the public domain.
Yeah.
And whilst I think they've made lots of mistakes, and I think now, after 4 years, that's enough now. You've had your learning curve. You've impressed your will upon the football club. You've decided to buy young players. You now need to look at what's out there, what the conventional wisdom tells you, and go, right, senior players, established winner of a manager, step off the gas in terms of your involvement and let it run.
Right, okay. That has to be the vision as far as Blueco are concerned, but will they go down that line? Who's next for Chelsea? You can set the calls are coming in already. I'm looking at them. The number of calls crazy. 03717 223344. Who is next for Chelsea? And 4 years in, how and why is this ownership continuing to make a hash of it? Do you trust the ownership at Chelsea? 03717 223344.
Vincent Kompany's side have won their 35th Bundesliga title at the weekend, have made adding another winger this summer a top priority. Gordon's thought to be open to a move to the Bundesliga, even though a starting spot the Allianz is not guaranteed. Sources reveal the England international has already spoken to Harry Kane about life in Munich. Newcastle United reported to be willing to sell, providing their valuation of at least £75 million is met. Do you think that there's a possibility that Bayern might balk that valuation, Coisty? 75 million? It's a lot of money. I mean, he's a,
good player.
Fully fledged England international.
Oh, 100%, mate. 75 million. Far too much. Far too much. Good player. I like him. hasn't shown any level of consistency in the league. I would say best form's been in the Champions League or certainly Europe. Would he be interested in going? You better believe he would. I mean, if you're Anthony Gordon, crikey, I moved to Bayern Munich. Why would you not?
But because the one and only Sam Ryder. Please welcome back Will Traeger Show. You have 4 billion more listens than there are people on the planet.
On the planet.
Sad I've missed coming on the show.
It's your WhatsApps, it's your WhatsApps, it's your WhatsApps, it's your...
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday morning. That's right, Thursday morning. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. We're also live on your TV, Apple, Chromecast. You know the drill. Whatever you want to watch us, even Prime Video, you can do just that. We're talking about the somewhat controversial sacking after 107 days of Liam Rosenior. It was a 6.5-year deal. They sacked him. He's gone. And of course, Chelsea in an FA Cup semi-final against Leeds United this weekend. I was asking the question yesterday, Simon, is Liam going to be there in the technical area after that Cup semi-final? Indeed, is he going to be there before that Cup semi-final? No, on both counts. Liam Rosenior has gone, and that's the end of it. Alex Crook, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, joined us live at 12:30 yesterday. And there and then, the story started developing. Alex, good morning. What else are we hearing this morning as regards who takes over in the long term?
Yeah, good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon. I think by the time I joined you at 12:30 yesterday, the decision-making process was well underway. I think we all saw the writing was on the wall for Liam Rosenior. Probably, actually, the writing was on the wall with the comments he made against his own players after that defeat at Brighton in midweek. That was a manager, I think, firing shots as he left the building. I feel sorry for Liam Rosenior. I'm sure he's a good coach and a good human being. But for me, it was a job that he was given too soon, promoted beyond his true station. I should shoot down suggestions. He's got a £24 million payoff, by the way. I'm told it's much less than that, nearer the £4 million mark. There was a one-year break clause, I believe, in the contract, but still an expensive mistake as far as the Chelsea hierarchy are concerned. And I thought it was interesting that they're talking about a period of self-reflection now before appointing a new permanent manager at the end of the season. And I wonder if we're going to see a sea change here, because they've gone down the rookie route, not just with Rosenior, but to a certain extent with Enzo Maresca, who's obviously previous experience of frontline management in England was in the Championship. He's come in, he's won the Conference League, he's won the Club World Cup, but ultimately unravelled pretty quickly earlier this season. Andoni Iraola was a name very much on the lips of a lot of people connected with Chelsea when I was at Bournemouth last night. Obviously, we know he's leaving the Vitality at the end of the season. I'm told he likes the idea of relocating to London. He's a fan of the city. Crystal Palace have shown some interest in Iraola. I don't think he's keen to make that move. He sees that he can get himself a bigger job. And this would be Chelsea going away from the Maresca, Rosenior type appointments, because he's got that body of work in the Premier League. Iraola, Bournemouth currently on a club unbeaten run in the top flight. They're on the cusp of qualifying for Europe for the first time. But I do wonder how he would feel about working under the ownership model with Berdar Egbali in particular, so involved in the day-to-day running of the club, that not one but two, but 5 sporting directors. The positive from Chelsea, bearing in mind the constant churn of managers they seem to have, is that we know Iraola only likes to work on a one-year rolling contract, and that might just be sensible moving forward for Chelsea, not to give out these long-term deals.
Well, of course, Bournemouth in action last night, as you said, Alex. They got a 2-2 draw with Leeds United. And post-match, Iraola was somewhat cagey when the Chelsea issue came up.
No, I think I said it when I announced that I was not continuing here. No, for me now it's about Bournemouth, 4 games. We have incredible position, incredible fight. past week you were asking me about other club. I don't know, I remember exactly which ones, but also as a sign of respect for Bournemouth. No, I cannot talk right now about my future because it's not what worries the Bournemouth supporters.
Simon, he's got to be one in the shortlist, hasn't he?
Oh, I think so. He should certainly be in the consideration. So should Oliver Glasner be in consideration. I think the language coming out of Chelsea needs to change. I think their comms is poor, but I think they've changed it already. You heard Iqbali talk about the player recruitment model in terms of the balance being incorrect. So these are lessons that people learn. I love the way people criticise lessons being learnt by people never having done them themselves. It's always the ones that never do anything, the ones that criticise people that make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You just got to learn fast, and faster in football than any other industry because your judgment is instantaneous. But they're changing the language. Now, it'll be interesting because the Chelsea model wasn't investment in managers. It was get best in class. Abramovich, and what he did was, as we know, cheat his way through, was getting the best managers. Getting Ancelotti, getting, once upon a time, Felipe Scolari attempting to, and eventually, and getting Jose Mourinho, and getting the best managers, and even when they won, sacking them. So it'll be interesting to see if they go back down that route, because if you go back down that route, you'd be fishing in the Alonso pond, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And that sort of space.
Yeah.
And trying to attract Luis Enrique out of PSG, which you'd have a bugger's job to do, but notwithstanding it, those are sort of spaces you'd be trying to find yourself casting your net into.
You don't approve of people coming in with a hail of criticism if they don't know what it takes to own a football club. Nonetheless, people have a right to point the finger here.
Yeah, no, of course they do. I don't have a problem in the same way that I'd never put a boxing glove on and bristle at the idea that I can't make an observation on it.
Yeah.
I can't be a hypocrite about it. But when people have made their mind up and don't have any context and have decided, irrespective of any other conflicting evidence, that there might be some context to things.
We've got 4 years of context.
Yeah, and that's why they have to be criticised. And that's why the decisions that they're making and have made need to be sharply addressed and reconsidered. Now, people were looking at their transfer policy last year with João Pedro, looking at their World Club Championship win, and suddenly beginning to think that Chelsea might be a force. So the needle was moving, the dial was turning, and people thought that they were going to be doing better.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the disruption...
You were one of them.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Maresca, I didn't think they were going to win the league, by the way.
No, but you thought they're improving.
Indeed. And up until the point...
The big challengers.
Up until the point where, Maresca, pulled his pantyhose down, they probably were. But you can't legislate unless you've had managers work for you. All these people that think these managers are wonderful, that don't understand behind the scenes that a lot of the time they're immature children that have to be propped up when they're losing and left to run and bask in the glory when they're winning. Unless you understand that, rather than lionising, they're always right. It's the manager.
I know what you mean.
It's not, Jim. I promise you. It's not just a bitter old owner saying this. It's a different dynamic.
No, I know,
than what you think it is.
And you have more of a take on it because of what you've done in the past. Alex, Maresca going back, is that a possibility?
I wouldn't have thought so, Jim. Not the way it ended. The players would take him. The players, from what I'm told, were fully on board with what Maresca was doing. I think that's part of the problem when Liam Rosenior came in. Very different character, different type of manager. And Simon's made a brilliant point there about the kids running the classroom. And this is something else that Chelsea, I think, have got to get a hold of, because there's a history here of when players at that football club have had enough of the manager, he gets turfed out. The players basically gave up at Brighton in midweek. They got Liam Rosenior fired. He couldn't possibly keep his position after that performance. And then we hear stories about certain players in the dressing room calling him the substitute teacher. I think they need a manager there who's going to have a lot more control. And there needs to be a little bit of realisation about what these Chelsea players actually are as well. They're a long way from being the team that Thomas Tuchel led to the Champions League. But just on Simon's point about the Rosenior appointment, was it not self-sabotage to make that appointment, Simon? What credentials did the guy who got fired by Hull City have to take on board one of the biggest jobs in English football?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Who thought that was ever going to work out?
I agree with you, Alex. But the flip side of that is they had him in the building for 18 months, and what I understand they saw was an innate potential in him to become something. And at the time when it was an opportunity, I think they were suggesting to Liam, you keep on developing the way you're developing, the Chelsea job will be yours, with no anticipation that Maresca was going to fall out of bed as early as he did. So then you've got a situation where Liam is being potentially recruited by other Premier League clubs that might want him, and Chelsea saying, well, we're not going to give you the job now because we're going to give it to someone else. Liam then subscribing to the view he's never going to get the job and jump into another Premier League club. Now, knowing what we know now, we'd say, well, they should have let him jump. But they believed,
because that Premier League club would have been Crystal Palace or Fulham, not Manchester United or Manchester City.
Absolutely, notwithstanding that, but he'd have been out of commission for them and might have been out of commission for them in perpetuity because he might have been at Palace for 3 or 4 years. Who knows, or wherever else he's going. Now, we all know it's flawed now, and we all knew at the time it was a huge risk. We all looked at it, everybody, even me, looked at it and went, you must be seeing something that I'm not seeing in Liam at this stage, because whilst I think he's a capable lad and he's done well wherever he's gone, this is a huge step up. This is stepping out of the league, a lower league situation, irrespective of his league earned, and stepping right into the big leagues.
Yeah.
So I hear you, Alex. I don't disagree.
Alex, before you leave us, very briefly, and I'm running over, but hey ho, Carlos Baleba from Brighton to Manchester United. Is there news?
Yeah, still very much a target for Manchester United this summer. I think the plan for United is to bring in not one but 2 midfielders. They see it as a key area of the team to rebuild. I think they could sign as many as 5 or 6 players by the end of the transfer window, because they're going to be competing back in Europe in some capacity, probably in the Champions League. But there have been some suggestions United value Baleba at the £50 million mark. I can tell you Brighton have no intention of letting their midfielder go as cheaply as that. So if United want Baleba, and he is still high on their list, they're going to have to cough up a lot more than 50 million quid.
Alex, thank you very much indeed. Full marks to Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs for the work they continue to do on this show. 03717223344. Chelsea fans, get calling. So many of you are calling, but see how many of you can come to air with Simon and myself. This ownership, 4 years in, what's your take on it? And who's next for your club now that Liam Rosenior, after 107 days into a 6.5-year deal, has gone? 03717223344.
What happened though, Jack?
Oh, mate, look, it was gutless and spineless performance. I'm trying to choose my words, but I'm so angry and I'm so disgusted with that performance. That is, first half, I don't know what that was. That was absolutely turgid, disgusting. And do you know what? It's getting worse. It's getting worse. And that, Brighton are a good side. I mean, they caught us at a good time. No, they are a good side, by the way.
Good team.
They are. But that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And do you know what? We got Leeds at the weekend, okay? And I'm telling you now, we ain't winning that game. We are not winning that game. We're getting dumped out the FA Cup. I don't know where the next victory's going to come from. I don't know where the next shot on target's going to come from. Absolutely.
Goal difference could still decide this Premier League title. Arsenal are now second, but play twice before City go again. Here's how Gabia Bonglahor would prepare the Gunners for Newcastle this weekend.
No messing around, no quotes, finishing only in training, Havertz, crosses and headers. Guys, we can probably get +6 goals before Manchester City play again.
City's 1-0 win at Turf Moor relegates Burnley, and Scott Parker's not sure if he'll even be there next season. Now a change-up is needed at Chelsea, where under-21s coach Callum McFarlane's back in charge. Following the sacking of Liam Rosenior, academy coach John Terry's posted on TikTok, worried about the state the club's got itself in.
Because I'm looking at us needing the manager after the weekend. I'm not sure when ownership are going to make their decision and bring a new manager in. But Is a real top manager going to come to Chelsea Football Club at the moment in the position we're in?
Chelsea v Leeds in the FA Cup semi-final is live on talkSPORT this Sunday. Now, as the race for automatic promotion from the Championship goes down to the wire, we asked Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna if he'll be watching Millwall at Leicester tomorrow.
No, I never do, especially at this stage of the season. All the mental energy needs to go into your own games, and you can't afford to, certainly as a manager, I don't think, waste too much of it in front of the TV screen.
And in Rugby League, four-time Super League winner Brian McDermott is the New England coach. He takes over from Sean Wayne. The former Leeds Rhinos boss McDermott is the most successful coach in Super League history.
Thursday morning, good morning. Jim White, Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT. From 12 noon onwards, we'll talk boxing. We shall get to that. The man who was due to fight, Lawrence Okoli, this weekend is going to be joining us live. Lawrence Okoli, of course, no longer fighting because of that failed test. We are looking at Chelsea very, very closely this morning. After 106 days in charge, Liam Rosenior has gone. It was a 6.5-year deal. The ownership, Bully and Igbali, appear to have made an absolute mess of this one. Not much going right behind the scenes at Chelsea. And yet, not that long ago, after they became the best club in the world, after winning the Club World Cup, Todd Bully on this show was full of optimism.
I think the boys have shown that they are a force to be reckoned with, and we knew all along in the value of the project. But we're hopeful that every day we wake up, the odds are that Chelsea is going to win something big.
Well, they did win something big, but thereafter the project has gone somewhat awry, has it not? Yeah, not the way they were hoping it would work out. Many Chelsea fans calling in, and we asked you to do so. So let's get to you. 03717 223344. Jason, big Chelsea fan. Why is this ownership continuing to make a hash of it? Jason, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, the bottom line is I just don't think that when it comes to what they need to have in place that they've really got a clue on it, to be honest. I feel sorry for Rosenior in many ways. I said to your colleague earlier, I'd like to know Simon's take on the fact that because he was in charge of Strasbourg, and obviously it's the same ownership, if he hadn't have taken the job, do you think he would have been released from that job at Strasbourg as well? Or would they have just kept him in place there and then sort of pursued other options?
My understanding of the situation is that he was being groomed for the Chelsea job, and that the job came earlier than they wanted it to do. But at the same time, his currency was quite high, and other Premier League football clubs were looking at him, and they took a view that rather than losing full stop from the organisation, which would be both Strasbourg and Chelsea, they took a view that someone they were earmarking for the job potentially in the future might be worth taking the risk with now. And so rather than allow him to go to another Premier League football club, whoever they might have been, lesser than clubs than Chelsea, I suspect, they took a view that they could bring him into their structure and that it would continue to develop. And that was an educated punt. That's the reasons why I think they took the view that they did. Yeah. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand that?
Down though, that he would have, do you think if he had turned the job down at Chelsea, which I'm not saying he was going to, but if he had said, in his own mind that he felt that it was too big a job too soon, and that he is basically, as people refer to, like learning his trade as such.
None of these managers ever do that, do they? They always think they're bigger than they actually are, and they always think they're ready for a job whenever they get an opportunity to be presented it. And I think part of the discussions that were being had during the period of time that they had him in the Strasbourg building was that the Chelsea job, the next available opportunity for the Chelsea job, was going to be potentially his. Out it came. Right. So if he doesn't, if then Maresca goes and they don't give it to him, then you've got a manager who said, well, hang on, you told me I was being groomed for this job, and now you've given it to someone else. So all of us look back at it and go, well, you should have said no, not this turn of the wheel, the next turn of the wheel.
Jason, good call. Thank you very much indeed for getting us off and running. Ollie, big Chelsea fan, good morning. What on earth do you make of this, Ollie?
Good morning. I just want to ask Simon about the owners, and you obviously seem to know them quite well. I want to know why you think that Luis Enrique and Julian Nagelsmann said no to us.
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. Luis Enrique's managing PSG, and he's hitting the bullseye because he's in a club that's equally as wealthy as Chelsea, winning Ligue 1 and ultimately winning the Champions League. So that's potentially the reason why. And Nagelsmann is managing his national team. So you'd have to ask them.
He said no. He said no before the PSG job. We offered him the job, and he said no.
Luis Enrique, because I'm not them.
Simon, do you think the Chelsea job at the moment is a good job for an ambitious manager, but with these owners?
Yeah, I do, because I think owners now have changed, and I think managers. I think part of Liam's problem, to some extent, if I may be so bold, is Liam's decided to manage in a way that was actually balancing himself towards the boardroom and the dugout, because he recognises the fact that new ownership models in this day and age want more involvement in football clubs, want more say. Marinakis is a classic case in point. These guys are another. I think now that they've been probably chastened so much. They're not silly, despite the fact you have to be incredibly confident, arrogant, and believe in yourself to become billionaires. They will look at it and go, we've not done well here. We've not done well. We might have won the World Club Championship, but we've made a mistake repeatedly in management terms on a number of fronts. We now have players that are younger but not achieving what we thought they were going to achieve. So I think maybe, but a strong manager walks in there. You get a strong manager walks in there and says, right, you want me, do you? These are the terms that I'll work under. I'm not working under the terms that you gave to the previous kids. I'm the real deal. And you might find, this is a supposition on my part, that this new group, the new ownership 4 years in, shouldn't be a new ownership anymore, will look at things and say, maybe it's time that we learn the lessons that we need to have. We can do differently. We can still have our innovation, our thinking.
Well, didn't Maresca do that?
Well, he didn't have the chops. Maresca
to do the job.
No. Maresca didn't have the chops. Maresca came in as a Leicester manager, was given the job, right, and ultimately given it under certain conditions. And how you start a relationship, Jim, is very, very important, because if you start it as someone that's been given an opportunity, rather than a manager coming and going, right, this is an equal footing. You ain't bigger than me, and I'm not bigger than you.
Yeah, but hang on, Simon. Maresca is the only one that gave them success.
Indeed.
They gave Bowling and Igbali the success they created.
But by the same token...
So why not give them more?
But you're assuming that they didn't, and you're assuming that the stories that were being suggested are correct, that ultimately there was a medical interference about certain players. Maresca could have managed the situation better. If Maresca wanted to change the way he interacted with the owners, I suggest the best way to do it is not act like a child, right? And not go into press conferences and start throwing a pouted lip outburst, which you're not prepared to stand behind. You're not prepared to actually qualify. You just wanted to have your 2-minute tantrum, which, by the way, I understand was a regular occurrence behind the scenes. And you can brief in Miguel Delaney as much as you want because he's your mate and put your version of the story into the media, or you can have a balanced perspective. So if Maresca had acted perhaps like a grown-up, and rather than an immature manager batting his eyes at Man City thinking that's the opportunities coming his way, and actually dealt with it better, then maybe you could have got the management to change their view at the same time as the manager got more responsibility.
Hang on. Briefing goes on. Miguel Delaney, if Maresca was briefing... Who's briefing you?
I'm having conversations.
You got bought over by Igbali.
First of all, I'm a former owner, so I will always alight upon understanding what goes on behind the scenes rather than the optics that people want to believe.
You'll side with the ownership.
I often will, because I've been an owner, and let me tell you what being an owner is: miserable existence. If you think ownership is a wonderful, no, it is.
All that money.
No, don't be. Listen, the money that you earn, that you give to other people that don't merit it, and then you listen to people telling you how crap you are on a weekly basis. So it's not particularly a thankful task. And people that think, owning a football club is a wonderful thing, think again. But we all take these responsibilities on. So if you take it on, you've got to do it properly.
Right.
And at this moment in time,
these
guys are getting smashed in their checkbooks.
Rightly
smashed in the
so.
media. And you would say rightly so. I would say that
you smash Manchester United for not getting it right behind the scenes, but you won't call out Bowley and Igbali.
I have done. I said that the Liam Rosenior decision is wrong. I've supported Jim Ratcliffe and things. When I was sat here, when you lot were brickbatting me about the decisions that Jim Ratcliffe was making about making people redundant, you lot were piling into me, going, all you little lefties, going, oh, hang on a second, all these people should be kept. You should be kept in jobs. And his viewpoint is this. I said, well, hang on. I supported Ratcliffe and his observations recently of that everyone else went against me for. I've supported lots of people when I think they're right, and lots of people and I've criticised them when I think they're wrong. And I think Igbali's decision to appoint Rosenior is flawed.
You always go on about best in class.
Yeah.
How on earth can you look at Bluecoat and say they're best in class?
Well, that's the question I would ask. If I'm sat there looking at it like you are, I'd be looking at them going, like I said yesterday, how did you seriously think that Liam Rosenior, with respect to Liam, who will become a decent manager and a bigger manager again, and he'll learn more from this adversity than he'll ever learn from success, how did you think he was going to punch past Guardiola and Slot and Emery and whoever else is in the top clubs in this country? How did you think at this stage? You must have had a vision that somewhere along the line he was going to have to learn to do it, and it was going to take some time.
Yeah.
And clearly, they
got
didn't.
it wrong.
Or maybe Liam, like a lot of people, represents something, and when it comes on top, isn't quite what you think they are.
Cameron, big Chelsea fan. Take me to the break, Cameron. Good morning. Do you have any faith in the current Chelsea ownership?
Good morning. How are you, gentlemen?
Good, thank you.
I was really hopeful when Rosenior signed for us, and I thought that the way that he spoke and presented himself was a nice kind of breath of fresh air from, as has been said by Simon, kind of the temper tantrums of Maresca before him.
Yeah.
And I'm sad to see him go, I won't lie. But at the same time, I don't know what your guys' opinion is in terms of, do you think that being a manager nowadays, or even a coach nowadays, is more about being a good people person and people manager rather than an actual understanding statistician and a person that's good with kind of putting forward a plan for a football team to perform and win?
I get your question, Cameron. I mean, you've got to manage up in a very different way now, Simon.
It's all of it. You've got to win, and then you have to manage up less. You've got to win, and the only time you have to manage up is when you're not A, achieving the things that you think that you've been brought in to achieve, or B, perhaps not getting the things to help you achieve the things that you want. And the only way you get the things that you want in perpetuity is by winning. And so it's this sort of Faustian pact. You have to be all of it. You have to prostitute yourself to these ungrateful little players that run around doing the bare minimum. You have to manage the expectations of the media, whose sole focus in life seems to be a gotcha moment. And you have to manage the ambitions of owners that often aren't as connected to the football framework as they should be.
There's a good message from Stuart, and this will take us to a break. Simon, why do you think every manager at Chelsea has acted like a child? Maybe it's the other way around.
I didn't think Pochettino acted like a child. I didn't think that Potter acted like a child. I thought Potter was weak, and I thought he whined about things that I thought he could have gotten over and above. I think Tuchel behaved poorly, and anyone that manages people wouldn't have a person speaking to them and behaving to the way that Tuchel did. And I don't think I've suggested anyone else that's managed Chelsea has been a child.
No, it's not a case then of it's everybody else's fault here.
No,
bar the owners.
No, listen. Every single appointment, the common denominator is the owners.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have to.
Gotcha moment.
But by the same token, when they get it right, and they will eventually, and I suppose if you throw enough against the wall, it sticks in the end, and people can say that too. But when they get it right, I hope that people will be equally as vociferous about, because when Daniel Levy appointed Mauricio Pochettino, he made a good decision. When he appointed Ange Postecoglou, he made a bad decision in certain respects. I didn't hear the hysteria of plaudits for the appointment of Pochettino, but you do hear the hysteria of condemnation when you get it wrong, and that's the reality of life.
Okay, and you say with the Chelsea owners, when they get it right, it's when they get it right. Is it? It's not if.
Oh, I think
it's not if. It's when.
Well, in the end, if you keep on, if you don't give up, and you've got the kind of resources that they've got, you will eventually get it right, because the alternative is, what were you there for in the first place? They've got £2.5 million asset.
Yeah.
All this shouting up and down about, well, we want to change our owners. Go on then, go find someone that's going to spend 3-4 billion quid on buying Chelsea. It's easy to shout out what you don't want. It's much more difficult to say, what do we want? They'll say, we want a winning team. Well, you had a winning team under Roman Abramovich. We want Abramovich back. Yeah, but he was a cheat, and he brought your club into disrepute. So you can have that back if you want. Well done, you lot. That's why people don't like Chelsea fans, by the way. That's why a lot of people say to me they don't like Chelsea fans, because of this ridiculous attitude that they've got.
Oh, I see. Okay. Is there such a thing as football karma? Well, we'll get into that next. Stay with us.
The big news is that Liam Rosenior has been sacked by Chelsea after 5 straight Premier League losses in which Chelsea didn't score a single goal. That's their worst record since 1912. Now, Chelsea would have preferred Rosenior to stay and be judged in years rather than weeks, but it simply wasn't possible. And as a consequence, a mid-season change is needed. Even though Rosenior only got the job in January, what I can tell you is that the players have already been informed. They were off today, and Callum McFarland will take charge of the team until the end of the season on an interim basis, and that includes the weekend's FA Cup semi-final against Leeds United at Wembley, and then Chelsea in the summer will do a thorough process to replace Rosenior, but they're going to take their time with that. So Rosenior sacked after that loss to Brighton, arguably Chelsea's worst performance in many, many years, and it is an
Sam Ryder! Please welcome back Will Traeger. You have 4 billion more listens than there are people on the planet.
On the planet.
Sad I've missed coming on the show.
It's your WhatsApp, it's your WhatsApp, it's your WhatsApp, it's your...
Under siege. That's what we like. Chelsea fans getting in touch with the show this morning. 03717 223344. Liam Rosenior has gone after just over 100 days in charge. 6.5-year deal, but he's out of there. Who is in next? Might it be the return of Maresca? Is it going to be Oliver Glasner? Would it be Andoni Iraola? And why are they making a hash of it at the top of the football club? Daniel's a big Chelsea fan. Good morning, mate. What do you want to say?
Good morning. Yeah, a lot.
I'll bet.
I'm glad he's gone, but I do feel sorry for him. If it was me in charge, I would go get some Chelsea people. I'd be looking at John Terry and Jody Morris. But I just wanted to pick up on some of Simon's points about the ownership.
Yeah.
I'm interested, obviously, Simon being a previous owner. Mm-hmm. These are good business people. They own other sports teams.
Yeah.
Who have they got around them? They're coming into a sport they don't know a lot about, and they just look completely and utterly lost. Surely these guys can't be that stupid.
It's a good question.
I think, you know, this idea, I mean, whenever I sort of defend somebody, it's because I'm a shill or I'm being paid for them. I wish I was at times. I defended Daniel against various things. I just have a different perspective. I think sometimes we all think, every one of us that comes from an industry where we're successful thinks we can port the same skills. We think that we can translate the same skills, and football has a unique language, and it's about money, and it's about finding an alchemy. And a lot of it comes with fortune in terms of good luck and good choices at the right time. And it's evident that they've made bad choices.
Yeah.
It's evident that at times they've said silly things. And I would have thought the learning curve would have been shortened, that the 4.5 years in or 3.5 years in, they wouldn't be making the same rod for their own back. And maybe now, with all of the... Nobody likes the conventional wisdom. If you go into football, I can promise you, when they start shoving the crap down your throat that you've got to listen to as a new owner about what the industry does, now it doesn't do this, now it doesn't that, you think, hang on a second, I'm not going to have to put up with that. And then you realise you can't beat the machine, and that the orthodoxies are what runs the industry, and you have to get on with it. The dressing room does have to be a little bit sacrosanct. The players are this. The media do have to be handled this way. So you learn and you adjust your stick. And maybe they've taken too long to do that, and maybe they've taken too many uneducated punts in our mind, educated in their mind if you look behind the nuance, but they're wrong, and they've got it wrong. And here we are now, 3.5 years in. They've spent a lot more money than people think they should have done.
Yeah.
They bought a lot of players that people now criticise because there's no balance. And maybe now, with all of these lessons and also their comms to their fans and the way that they communicate has been poor.
Yeah.
And so maybe now that they will learn some of the lessons and some of the orthodoxies, and maybe some of the sporting directors that they listen to don't quite have the chops that
Daniel, you can come back on Simon on that.
I would just like to say, do you think they're going to learn their lesson then, Simon? Do you think they're going to look at this and go, do you know what, we've got this so wrong. We need to get in some good football.
I think they need to
We
win.
to start listening.
I think, listen, when I spoke about Iqbali in January, what I didn't say was everything he said was right. What I said, he was one of the most compelling individuals that I've met, because the vision that he has and the way that he wants to achieve it are very compelling. Now, whether he can do that is a different matter. And I was talking specifically about the player contracts, the way that they buy, and the thinking behind it, because it was compelling. And believe me, I've met all of them, and there are very few compelling people in sports.
And what is his vision?
Well, his vision is that he wants to be successful. His vision is that he wants to put players on certain contracts that flex and bend, that protect the assets, so you never get hijacked by bigger clubs trying to take them off your hands. But at the same time, the salaries can be bent and flexed based upon Champions League participation, all manner of things. Which, when you put it to the test, you think, well, that can't be done. And then I saw the model of how they're doing it and how they're achieving it with all the players, Cole Palmer, all of these players, Fernandes. And I think, well, that's bloody compelling. It's sensible and it works. But they've made decisions now with the captain of the ship being Rosenior, is the latest. Maresca, some would say, got a lot more. They got a lot more right with Maresca. I wasn't having Maresca, and I think a lot of Chelsea fans weren't having him. But the fact they won the European Conference League and the fact they won the World Club Championship might have glossed over some of the things that Maresca wasn't particularly good at, because a lot of the time the Chelsea fans were saying the football they were watching was boring.
Listen, Daniel, thank you for the call. Simon, I want to finish on Chelsea with this. Matthew Syed in the Times this morning. Is there such a thing as football karma? Is that what is being meted out at Chelsea? And Syed says, I hate to say it, but I can't help thinking that there is some poetic justice in the world. This is what you call comeuppance, what the Germans call Schadenfreude, yes. What the rest of us call absolutely wonderful japes. 5 straight league defeats, no goals, a sense of utter hopelessness. Could it happen to a nicer club? Football karma. Seems to encapsulate it there.
Well, I wouldn't.
He goes on about Abramovich. He goes on about Bruce Buck.
Yeah, but he talks about the fact that Roman Abramovich was the Chelsea become a plaything of a Russian oligarch who cheated on an industrial level. And then he talks about the fans singing back for them, and I agree with him.
And I think you like the piece, don't you?
I don't agree with him about the fact that Roman Abramovich shouldn't be taking the Jersey trustees to court over the proceeds of the money that he's going to distribute to victims of wars around the world. I don't agree with that principle. I don't agree with the strength of depth that Chelsea are just an awful club and they deserve every bad piece of karma that they get now. I don't think that's fair. But I do think some of the things that, when I listen to Chelsea fans ranting and raving and singing about Roman Abramovich, and they seem to have ignored the fact that your football club now has an asterisk against it. You might not want to hear that, but all the trophies that you won during a period of time that you cheated and been proven to be cheated, if Man City get the same consequences, then they'll be in the same bracket. But right now, you're the one club that's proven, and you got away with it. And for whatever reason, you've been allowed to get a 10 million or 20 million pound penalty rather than points taken off you. You cheated, and it's been proven. And you're now singing for this guy because he bought the soul of your football club. He bought the soul of it.
Well, that's his final piece, isn't it? The chanting of Abramovich's name by not an insignificant section of fans. What are they thinking? Are they thinking at all? And Matthew Sad says, nice chap, Roman. Lovely grin. Benefactor of football. At least that's what the former Chelsea chairman Bruce Buck used to tell us.
Yeah, and Bruce very nicely out of the cell, didn't he? And the construct of the Premier League rules and the people that were in Premier League were influenced by people like Bruce Buck, and make of that what you will.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, I think Matthew is being very vitriolic. I think some of it's... I don't think Chelsea are a bad football club. I think they're a great football club in lots of ways. But I think the section of fans that are singing for Roman Abramovich whilst vilifying a young manager that was just above his pay grade are the very thing that I don't like. But that's what football fans are. In every club, you can. I can sit on this platform and go say wonderful things about a club, and they'll all be, "Oh, Jordan's all right," and the next day something negative. Oh, he's a useless whatever. He's a shill for this. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a failed football club owner. You know, you just got to take the brickbats in the way that they come. Don't you?
It's 11 o'clock this Thursday morning. A lot to get through. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. It's expensive as well, living in Paris, by the sounds of it, Emmanuel. It's expensive being Emmanuel Petit, by the sounds of it, as well.
No, so happy to be Emmanuel Petit, you know.
Oh, quite right.
If I was not Emmanuel Petit, I wish I would be. I could be Emmanuel Petit. Honestly, my life is beautiful. You
Well,
know?
let's get into this. What do you like about him?
Well, I always do what I like, you know. I don't do things because I don't want to do it. And this is a luxury, especially nowadays. People would think, okay, with the money you earn, but I gave everything to my ex-wives. I had 3 divorces, and I gave the half of it to the States too. So, but I'm still very happy. I try, you know, every single morning when I wake up, I want to stay positive because life is beautiful. I know it's very difficult, but if you want things to change in your life, you have to be positive. This is my religion.
Coming on this show.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. The man some players called the substitute teacher is gone. We're told Chelsea could go with experience next after sacking Liam Rosenior. Our chief football correspondent is Alex Crook.
And I thought it was interesting that they're talking about a period of self-reflection now before appointing a new permanent manager at the end of the season. And I wonder if we're going to see a sea change here, because they've gone down the rookie route, not just with Rosenior, but to a certain extent with Enzo Maresca.
Chelsea versus Leeds in the FA Cup semi-final is live on talkSPORT this Sunday. Under-21s coach Callum McFarlane steps up again as interim. Here's Simon Jordan.
It's quite frankly the dressing room's going to run it. These group of players, they haven't got many leaders in there, but notwithstanding that, they'll make their own decisions for the next 5 or 6 games. They'll turn up on the weekend. This other kid that's going to run the team for them is going to have no experience. He's just going to be a holding voice. And they may well bring someone in that's got some Chelsea background.
It doesn't look like that will be John Terry. The academy coach hasn't had a call from the board. Meanwhile, the Premier League title could well be decided by goal difference, and Sam Lee from The Athletic told us Pep's new team is finally coming together.
Guardiola's kind of moulding them to what he wants to do. So basically, earlier in the season, when they were winning on the counter-attack and having less possession and all that, and we were thinking, oh, you know, is this a new style? They just weren't as good at doing what Guardiola wanted them to do. But they're all kind of getting there now.
City are back on top, but Guardiola thinks they'll need to win all 5 games to clinch the title. And FIFA say they have no plans to swap out Iran for Italy at this summer's World Cup. It's after an envoy to Donald Trump suggested it. There's still uncertainty over Iran's participation following the war with the US and Israel. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Mobile networks may have to slow data speeds or even ration signal as energy costs rise. And Prince Harry has made a surprise visit to Ukraine. Sinead has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're always there when you need us. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
A fine sunny day and warm for most of us. Chillier along eastern coast, where it'll remain cloudy. Windy in the southwest.
morning, everybody. 5 minutes past 11 o'clock. Thursday being Thursday, we'll talk boxing from 12 noon onwards in the company of Spencer Oliver. But for now, we are looking at what is taking place, especially at the summit of the Premier League. Manchester City go top for the first time since August, beating Burnley by a single goal to nil. So City are back and they're back top, but 28 shots from City and just one goal. This was Pep on how they went back to the top of the Premier League.
Luck in life is important, but you have to do something as well to deserve this luck, right? And must shoot you 28 shoots, and so if you do it every game, we will be lucky to win the game, so that's for sure. But the opponents are tough that we have, and I'm really pleased for the way we played. If I have something, a little regret, we could have scored more goals, yeah, definitely. But 5 games, tough games for both teams, for Arsenal and for ourselves. And now, like your colleague said, 3 days, and I think we have 9 days until, Monday night in the new stadium, Everton. Looking forward to experience it. And let's go.
So I was at Charlton, Ipswich, and on the train coming back into London Bridge, some of the Ipswich fans were suggesting, well, Man City, I see back at the top. They'll stay there. But will they? So 5 games to go. Both Manchester City and Arsenal level on 70 points. Same number of wins. Same draws. Same defeats. Same points tally. Same goal difference. Simon, is this a title race so close that it's not only results to be scrutinised, but score lines as well?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there was a massive missed opportunity for Man City last night. I mean, the balance of probabilities, given the fact that they've won Premier Leagues, the fact that that Arsenal have gone on a wobble recently, would suggest that Man City have peaked at the right time and will continue on their journey and probably win the Premier League. I don't want them to. I've seen them win the Premier League. I've seen them dominate the Premier League. I don't want any team dominating the Premier League. I'd like to see Arsenal win it. I'd like to see it for Arteta. I'd like to see it for Arsenal as a football club. And I'd like to see it back in the south because I'm a southerner. But all of those things are irrelevant. If they don't deserve to win it, they won't win it. I think the goal difference listen, in the same way that I think West Ham getting a point at Palace may come back to haunt them, I think not scoring enough goals at Burnley might come back and haunt Manchester City. Yeah. I mean, Burnley have conceded 68 goals this season, which means that every time they turn up, they concede 2 goals. Man City managed to break that rhythm by only scoring 1 against a side that's already relegated. And so despite the best protestations and sort of cocky attitude from Erling Haaland when he's being interviewed by somebody about how many goals they didn't score, they missed an opportunity. You would have expected them to put 3 or 4 past Burnley, put some clear blue sky between them and Arsenal, because it becomes a foot race. Everybody thinks, well, not everybody, a lot of people think that both sides are more than capable of winning all 5 games. So goal difference is prevalent. So when you get an opportunity to smash a less than that's out of form and not good enough, you would expect them to do so. And we can listen to all their bristling hubris last night from Pep Guardiola with the most expensive team with the best players and what they didn't do in that game, but it was a missed opportunity.
Here's the thing, though. Before Manchester City's next match against Everton, Arsenal play 2 league games.
They could go 6 points clear.
So they could be temporarily 6 points clear again.
Yeah, but they haven't got easy games, have they? I mean, Newcastle have got to get their boots on, haven't they?
Yeah.
And and somewhere along the line, if Eddie keeps on losing games, he's going to come under real pressure. And so
he's under pressure.
That's not a given. That game's not a given. They got Arsenal. They got Newcastle.
They've got Newcastle and Fulham both at home.
And then they've got the Champions League semi-finals sandwiched in between those, haven't they, as well?
Yeah.
So they've got tall orders in their mind, but they've got to go and attend to business. So they've got to go and beat Newcastle and obviously beat Fulham and put the pressure back on Man City, make Man City feel under pressure, because it's all well and good having the knowledge. They will still feel the pressure because now the expectation has twisted.
Yeah.
The balance of probabilities in most people's mind is Man City going to win this league. So now the pressure comes back onto Man City. And goals will make a difference. But I don't think it will be a goal difference thing. I think one of the teams is going to slip up.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I think someone's going to draw a game that people didn't expect.
Okay, well, do you want to tell me where? Could Eddie and Newcastle do some damage to Arsenal?
Yeah, they could. Yeah. Because Arsenal are fragile at this moment in time, and people are making a lot of the performance against Man City. They put in a credible performance and did well, but they lost still.
Yeah.
And now they're out of the box seat. Man City, they won't be worried about Man City going top of the table because they knew they were going to go top of the table. That's been baked into their thinking. But now we see Arsenal have to win these 5 games.
Right.
They have to win it.
Yeah.
If they don't win it, and they will have handed the title to Man City. I'm not interested in Man City were breathing down their neck they did it to themselves.
Yeah.
And what the people like Martin Keown refused to accept is not about losing to Man City in that game. It was about drawing with Forest, drawing with Brentford, drawing with Wolves, and getting beat by Bournemouth. If you're trying to win a Premier League, your manager, and the manager is at fault here to some extent, because the players should be made to feel that they're playing free. And something's changed in Arsenal. It might be the loss of Saka. It might be loss of a bit of balance. But something's gone into hedge mode. They hedge in games. They do enough to get past games. They do enough to win games in a certain way. And that's not going to win you the Premier League. That's not going to win you the Premier League, especially when you've got an avaricious beast like Man City behind you that don't just allow you to navigate your way through to the point.
Avaricious beast. Oh, I love that. Here's the thing. Burnley lost last night to Manchester City, and that confirmed their relegation. Before we get into that, Burnley, the ultimate yo-yo club, it would seem that way. This was Scott Parker.
Never going to be critical of this team. Never, ever, ever for a lack of quality or missing certain moments. And I think tonight epitomised that really. That was a group of men that just literally given everything. And for what they've been through, for what was on the line tonight, they did exactly that again, really. And I'm sad and I'm upset and I'm disappointed with the way the season's gone, of course. And tonight brings a curtain down on that, and I'm obviously sad for that. But I think my riding factor is it was a group. It's a group that absolutely give everything, and they do that every single day. And I can't fault them for that, and I never will fault them for that. That's the man I am, really, to be quite honest with you. So while others want to be really judgmental on certain things, I'll never be judgmental on that. They've given absolutely everything, and we've just fallen short. And that's just the way it is, really.
I was hoping for Scott Parker, who I met and chatted to some months ago, that they would do better, Burnley, and maybe give themselves a bit of a break from this yo-yo tag that they have. But ultimately, there's no other way of looking at it. They are the yo-yo club, are they? Led by the ultimate yo-yo manager. Sorry,
maybe.
Scott, but it's got to be asked.
Depends what their model is. I mean, this time around they spent 125 million euros, so 110 million quid. So they had to go. Got 20 points, 3 more points than Wolves, who stink and have stunk all season. And so when you look at it from that point of view, why aren't you Sunderland? If you played like you played against Man City last night, with intensity and ferocity, and made it difficult for the opposition to play against you, for the bulk of the season you'd have got more points. You won 2 games at home. Why Sunderland achieved more than you? You bought Kyle Walker, they bought Granit Xhaka. Why haven't you? And you can talk about not wanting to criticise the players and not wanting to criticise the quality. Okay, you are criticising by saying it because you're effectively saying they ain't good enough.
Yeah.
I'm not criticising you, but I can't criticise them for lack of quality. That's criticism. You're not good enough.
I'm afraid, Simon, when you break it down, Burnley equals championship club.
Well, no.
Parker was appointed in the summer of 2024 and led the club to a second-place championship finish with 100 points and just 16 goals conceded in 46 league games. This season, Premier League, conceded a league high 68.
That's what I just said, yeah.
So that's a bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can do it in the championship, step up, can't do it.
Stuck Kyle Walker in to be a better defender, concede more goals. I don't know what that tells you. You look at it and you say they're not a championship club, they're not a Premier League club, they're in this horrible Bermuda Triangle between the two. But West Brom were like that. Jeremy Peace ran a business for years with West Brom being up and down until they eventually stabilised, and then they didn't stabilise and then they dropped out and they've never come back again.
Right, Norwich the same.
Norwich is the same to some extent. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, Burnley fans will enjoy being in the Championship because they win games, and they enjoy being in the Premier League because it's got more of the gravitas, and the cachet, and the hundreds of thousands sprinkled on top. And so the Burnley fans will be disappointed they got relegated, but at a price to enter the thing. At the beginning of the season, they'll say that we probably will get relegated. I thought that the reasons why Burnley might do better is because of the statistics you brought out, which is 16 goals in 46 games. And it seems to me that something's changed in the way that they defend, because being destructive and defending is easier than being offensive and creative. That's why the defensive players and the creative players are the most valuable, because they're the ones that win games. But I would have thought Burnley were able to perhaps stifle games and to have come out with more draws in the way that Leeds have and be more competitive in games. They haven't been competitive in a lot of games. They've been lightweight and beaten. If you get 20 points out of 33 or 34 games, it tells you a story. And if you look at some of the games they've played in, they haven't been competitive in these games, despite what Scott wants to advance. Do I think he's a decent manager? Yeah. Do I think he's a decent fella? Yeah. Do I think you can put anyone in that situation that they've done much better? Not really. Vincent Kompany's managing Bayern Munich. He took them up, took them down. He's now managing a team that's purported to be the best in Europe, might be at PSG.
Right.
It's about the opportunity that you're given.
Yeah, how would Scott Parker do if he was managing Bayern Munich?
He just will, but by the benchmark that Vincent Kompany has set, probably well.
Yeah.
And so, with due respect to the fact that 110 million quid doesn't seem to buy you a lot anymore, 110 million quid was considered a big spend. Now it's considered the bare minimum and doesn't buy you very much. It buys you a seat back into the Championship.
I'm afraid so. Leeds United, though, took a point at Bournemouth last night, and that sees them hit the 40 mark. 40 points, still the magic milestone. Will it be more than enough for them?
40. I mean, if you look at it historically, it's been an average, I think, over the duration of certainly the last 2 decades, about 35, 36 points.
Yeah.
And in recent seasons, we've seen people fall out of the Premier League because they've been pretenders at much lower points. Spurs was safe with 38 points last year, 13 points clear of the bottom 3. This, I think, will go to 38, 39 points. So I think Leeds are safe. Done a brilliant job, Daniel Farker. Brilliant job against a backdrop of people. And he's had no particular amount of money.
Oh, that's right.
He bought people in that people thought were done. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was an injury waiting to happen.
Yeah.
A group of players that weren't competitive enough. But the one thing that Leeds was highly competitive. And I don't think you can say that Burnley were.
No.
And that's the question Scott has to ask himself.
And Leeds United, 1 game away from an FA Cup final. They go in against Chelsea. This coming Sunday. No Liam Rosenior in the other technical area. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Thursday, live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Seen Arsenal. Nicola touches fire. Be fire. You ever win? Never beat win the dog. You ever play the mind, Geo? Lose this demise. What does that mean? Demise. Can you hear me? You ever win? Never beat the quadruple. The treble. The treble. The double. Hybrid. Richard Crips FC. Set-piece FC. Can you hear me? Set-piece FC. You ever win? Never been Gunner. Here's Morgan. Can you hear me? Greatest club side in the world. You're the one hell of a beat in that Lucas OBE. Sharpie, Ben. Can you hear me, Sharpie? Can you hear me, Sharpie? You're the one hell of a beating. North London forever. Can you hear me? North London never. You're the one hell of a beating.
What a weekend in the Premier League. Arsenal have gone and bottled it again. The gift that keeps on giving. Arteta's fire wasn't enough to get anything.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals and taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. Blackburn Rovers tell us they are devastated to learn of the passing of Tony Parkes, a true club legend, often referred to as Mr. Blackburn Rovers, says the club. Tony passed away last night at the age of 76. A special tribute will be held to celebrate Tony's life and his outstanding contribution to the club's history. at the final home game of the season against Leicester on Saturday, May the 2nd. We send our condolences, of course, to the Parks family. Tony Parks, who has died at the age of 76. Simon alongside me will talk boxing from 12. In the meantime, we're going to talk a bit of golf, and we're going to talk about the price of golf. Can you put a price on the world's greatest premium sporting events, or are organisers now pushing the envelope to almost Mickey-taking levels? We are told that fans will have to pay £433 to watch the 2027 Ryder Cup in Ireland, double the price for Europe's last home match in Rome 3 years ago. General entry for one of the 3 competition days has been set at €499. That's 433 quid in our money, up from €220 that fans paid on the Friday and Saturday for the final games there. It marks a 400% rise from the 2018 edition in Paris. talkSPORT's golf correspondent is Rupert Bell. Rupert, good morning. What do you make of this?
Well, that's also best page. They were 650 quid, I think. So you can see, and they were oversubscribed. And there is a capacity of 55,000 people every day. That's what's been earmarked for Airedale Manor. The Irish will get first crack at the allocation, and I think that will give them something like a third of the allocation of 55,000 per day. But they know, the European Ryder Cup Committee know that this is going to be seriously oversubscribed. And, you know, supply and demand. I think that Simon probably agrees with what they're doing. It does seem very steep, but if you look at what was happening in America, it is much cheaper. It is sad that it's got to this, but the crowds at America were sold out. OK, you can say it's America and it was rode up in New York and there's more money around. But obviously the Ryder Cup Committee feel that the £433, they can justify that because the interest is already at stratospheric levels.
It is. The Ryder Cup, tell us, we acknowledge it's an increase from Rome. That was 4 years ago, and a lot has happened in the world since then. So double the price, and fans have every right to say, Rupert, so are we going to get double the quality for that then?
Well, obviously, the Ryder Cup Committee say there will be big screens at every hole. There will be 20,000 seats in terms of grandstands around the venue. So you'll see everything, whether it be on the big screen or the players coming past you. In America, what they gave you was you got some free food and drink, soft drink that was. Didn't stop the Americans spending significant sums on, I think it was $18 for a can of beer. So there will be, I don't know if the Ryder Cup are going to include anything like that. That's the Irish version as some sort of concession to the price. They didn't say that in the press release that came out yesterday, but you know, things could change depending. But I'm pretty sure they're going to be oversubscribed, and there will be 55,000 people a day during the competition. It is cheaper to go to the practice days, so you can go and see the practice days. But actually, you know, in real terms, you're just seeing now players having a warm-up. Of course, there's an opening ceremony, and I think there's an Irish supermarket chain that's offering, so I think, discounted tickets for Irish spectators to go on the Tuesday. So they're trying, but just literally looking at the facts, 450 quid, now 433.
Yeah.
We've also, when you look at the World Cup football, look at the prices there. It might actually, in the end, seem quite good value because it's from 6:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. You get a 12-hour run for your money.
Well, Rupert's saying, why don't we look at the World Cup? Are they doing the same? Yes, they are. So, hey, here's an idea. Why not rip them off in golf as well, Simon?
See, despite Rupert speaking for me, I don't necessarily agree with the principle of profiteering. It's going across our society.
Hang on, is this you?
But there's two conversations. There's an argument about what's right.
Go on.
And there's an argument about the commercial opportunity. What's right, what's going on in society across every walk of life. I take my kid to go and have a cup of coffee, and they used to give me this little baby chino for my kid for free. Now they want to charge £1 for it. Now they want to charge £2 for it. And then people are taking liberties across society. People are charging things everywhere, and all we're hearing about is how people are poor and not able to afford things. Yet everyone seems to be charging ridiculous prices for everything. But the alternate argument to it is, which is not my favoured argument, but it's the reality of the world we live in, If there's a demand for it and people will pay it, then the commercial side of a business, which is where these are businesses that are being run. This is a business based upon money. What they do with the money you might not agree with, but notwithstanding it, the money side of things is why they do it for.
But Rupert made a very good point that, the demand level is such that, sure, they're going to pull in as much as they possibly can. But we're almost at Mickey taking level here, aren't we?
Well, clearly not, because people are prepared to pay it. So I saw it was a theatre show up in the West End. I know I'm going off tangent. They were trying to charge 350, 400 quid a ticket for matinees, and they were getting away with it up until a point where people went no, and they had empty auditoriums, and then quickly they changed their pricing structure.
Right.
Because the only way you change something is people saying it's reached the point where it's not acceptable.
So is sport heading to that point?
But clearly not, because the sensitivity of it is being met by an ever-increasing demand for it. And as Rupert quite well said, they're oversubscribed. And so with that in mind, until it reaches the elasticity of the pricing policy, reaches its stretch point where it will not be stretched any further, they'll keep on putting prices up and people will keep on paying more money for sometimes less fare. And that's unfortunately what we've now got in every walk of life, from when you walk into a supermarket to every walk of life. I think people and society are taking diabolical liberties with people. I really do.
I think so too, Sam. I'm with you on that completely. But Rupert, judging by the demand that you're talking about, maybe the Ryder Cup people could have screwed even more out of these golf fans who are so willing to cough up the dough.
They were concerned about it, because I remember talking to people around the Ryder Cup Europe at the last one in Bethpage and saying, what about the pricings? And they were very mindful that they had to get it right, but they did know. And I must admit, I'm not surprised that I've seen them come up with this figure. Because, it is cheaper than America, 200 quid cheaper. But when you think the last time they had the Ryder Cup in Ireland back in 2006, I think it was 100 quid a ticket. When they had it at the K Club, again, it was oversubscribed. But, every sport, football, even my club, there's been debates about the pricing for Europa League matches, but we were still sold out. So this is the problem for sports administrators. They know there is a demand, and the Ryder Cup committee know there is a huge demand, because it's one of the sort of bucket list. You don't necessarily have to be a golf fan, but people want to go to the Ryder Cup because of the nature of the competition.
Yeah.
And come Ireland, after what happened in Bethpage, it's probably even doubled, increased the demand to go to Adair Manor.
Wild, isn't it? Rupert, thank you very much. Roll up. Come along now. In you come. Crazy money, but we know you'll spend it. Simon, they're doing it in the World Cup. Not only regards World Cup tickets in the US in the summer, but rail operator New Jersey Transit has now confirmed that fans at the World Cup will be charged $150 for a return rail trip from New York to Pennsylvania Station to the MetLife Stadium in the summer. The tickets are normally priced at $12.90. So from $12.90, they're hitting you with $150. These are insane increases.
Well, he also goes on to say this agreement will cost New Jersey Transit at least $48 million. So the ability of putting on more trainers or whatever they're having to do to be able to ferry fans to the stadiums has a cost implication behind it. And what he's saying is, this is the other side of the argument.
Well, the rail companies are saying FIFA should pay for the cost of travel.
Yeah, but should the rail companies pay for it? They're not. What's it got to do with them? Now, of course, FIFA will say, well, we're bringing more people into the region.
Yeah.
And they're going to spend more money. Yeah, right. but the rail company doesn't get the benefit of someone spending money in a hotel, do they?
No.
A rail company makes its money from transporting people back and forwards. And if they're telling us, and it may be a pack of lies, but if they're telling us that it's going to cost them $48 million to facilitate the transport requirements, why would they be bearing that cost?
Well,
who's going to bear it?
It does seem a staggering rise from $12.90 to $150. Having said that, you don't fancy going to that if you're going to take the train. There's always an alternative bus service, and that will cost passengers just $80 for a seat. $80 to sit in a bus. We're in 18-mile journey.
But everyone says profiteering. The headline is profiteering. But the other side of it is, when you're in isolation, you say, how dare this transport company put their travel fares up from $13 to $150 or $120, sorry. So a 90% increase. But the alternative, or 900% increase. Alternatively, why would they have $48 million of additional costs? And if they are having $48 million of additional costs, why would they be asked to bear it?
I don't know.
So the reasons is that perhaps these travel arrangements are specifically being put on additional trains, additional resources, additional cost implications for ferrying fans to the stadium, and that's the reasons why the prices are inflated.
Right. Thank you for that. You prepared to pay it? You're going to sit in a bus with me in the summer in the US?
I was looking at the train fares.
$80 each.
I actually was looking at the train fares for the Amtrak between New York and Boston, so I didn't go up to Boston, and I was very surprised at how expensive it was.
Really? All right, even you. Okay, capitalism. 11:30.
I don't know where West Ham's next win will be. I don't know where Spurs' will be. But if Spurs beat Wolves, which is the easiest game out of all the fixtures combined, I wouldn't put my ass on West Ham beating Everton, Brentford, Arsenal, Newcastle or Leeds. And if Spurs beat Wolves, West Ham are going to have to beat one of those teams. Or get a few draws, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't see that happening. So now I don't really know where my money is as to who's going down now.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought, and I've said to you before, I thought Spurs would survive. I just think they've got a bit more about them. I know they haven't won a game in 2026, a league game, but it probably was a little bit of a missed opportunity last night. To be fair, it could have got a lot worse because they had chances. When Brennan Johnson's header, he probably should have done a lot better with that. Yeah. Goal obviously ruled out, rightly so, with the handball. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult one for West Ham. I mean, they're both playing at the same time, which is quite interesting at the weekend. So at least there's not one almost. Oh my goodness, they've won.
Neither on telly, right? They're both Saturday afternoon.
Both 3 o'clocks. So
I can't remember you got that stick, haven't you?
What stick?
Huh?
What stick?
So you can watch games?
No, I haven't got no stick.
I thought you got Premier League TV.
Yeah, code, not stick.
That's what I mean.
Goal difference could still decide this Premier League title. Arsenal are now second, but play twice before City go again. Here's how Gabby Bonglahor would prepare the Gunners for Newcastle this weekend.
No messing around, no quotes, finishing only in training, Havertz, crosses and headers. Guys, we can probably get +6 goals before Manchester City play again.
City's 1-0 win at Turf Moor relegates Burnley, and Scott Parker's not sure if he'll even be there next season. Now a change-up is needed at Chelsea, where under-21s coach Callum McFarlane's back in charge. Following the sacking of Liam Rosenior, academy coach John Terry's posted on TikTok, worried about the state the club's got itself in.
Because I'm looking at us needing the manager after the weekend. I'm not sure when ownership are going to make their decision and bring a new manager in, but is a real top manager going to come to Chelsea Football Club at the moment in the position we're in?
Chelsea v Leeds in the FA Cup semi-final is live on talkSPORT this Sunday. Now, as the race for automatic promotion from the Championship goes down to the wire, we asked Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna if he'll be watching Millwall at Leicester tomorrow.
No, I never do, especially at this stage of the season. All the mental energy needs to go into your own games, and you can't afford to, certainly as a manager, I don't think, waste too much of it in front of the TV screen.
And in Rugby League, 4-time Super League winner Brian McDermott is the New England coach. He takes over from Sean Wayne. The former Leeds Rhinos boss McDermott is the most successful coach in Super League history.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. GambleAware.org.
And we're joined by Sean Martin from BetMGM. We're going to look at some of the events and the odds round and about them. Let's start with last night's Premier League football, Sean, and City getting that 1-goal win at Burnley. Good morning.
Morning, lads. Yeah, we did say a one goal win would do it for Man City. I don't think anyone expected 1-0, especially when Erling Haaland scored after 4 minutes or so. They are top now, though, and 11-20 favourites to see out the title. Arsenal back over even money at 13-10, though they can obviously put some pressure back on City, because I think they play twice more before City play another Premier League game. Elsewhere last night, 5-2 odds for the draw in Bournemouth Leeds. Turned out to be a decent tip, right enough, Jim, so hopefully a few listeners and viewers got on that one. That result keeps Brighton hovering around about the even money mark or so to finish top 6. Also keeps Dan Towes very happy indeed, as well as giving Alex Licence a bit of a G up ahead of Leeds versus Chelsea at the weekend. Speaking of Chelsea, and Bournemouth actually, I heard some of your chat earlier on about who takes over at Stamford Bridge with Crookie and co. So let me run you through a few favourites in the odds off the back of that. Andoni Areola is the current 6-4 market leader. Reports before suggested maybe Athletic Club would be where he would end up. Maybe that's not going to be his destination after all. But he is also, I should note, in amongst the head of the market for next Liverpool, Newcastle and Man United manager as well. So his name is floating about there, as you'd expect. 3 main names, including 2 ex-Chelsea players behind him in the odds. Former Dortmund boss, to go beyond the Chelsea players first and foremost, former Dortmund boss Edin Terzic, 8-1, though he is one of those also right in the mix to rock up at Bilbao. Felipe Luis is also 8-1, recently at Flamengo, obviously beat Chelsea in the Club World Cup last summer, topped that group as well if I remember rightly. There are a few other names on there. Fulham manager Marco Silva, for instance, also only at 10-1. Diego Simeone and Oliver Glasner, Simon, at 12s. Further back, bigger names like Jose Mourinho, 16s, Unai Emery, 20s, Xabi Alonso, 33s. But the other name at the kind of top of the market, the other Chelsea-related name at the moment is Cesc Fabregas. And to me, that throws up a kind of intriguing question. So he was actually, I should note, the favourite outright at 6-4 when the market went live yesterday evening. Jim, he's now second favourite at 5-1. He's done or doing a very good job at Como. They are well backed. I think technically they're the richest, or one of the richest ownership groups in Italy. He got them promoted, then 10th. Currently they're 5th. Looking good for Europe. So you could argue he's actually done more than Enzo Maresca did to get that Chelsea job. And I know Jordan, the Chelsea fan who I work with, Fabregas would be his choice of the names that I put to him, albeit, must say, not too chuffed about the situation overall. But the other aspect, and I don't know to what extent this would impact things, maybe you'll know better, Simon, but Fabregas isn't just Como's head coach. He's a minority shareholder as well. And if Como get that European football, there's a good chance it ends up in the same competition as Chelsea. So I know he's only second favourite at all as the market leader, but if they nick a European spot, Chelsea, would that not open up a conflict of interest type of thing, do you reckon?
Controlling influence comes into play, doesn't it? I mean, it'd be easy for him to put his shareholding into a blind trust, because all it is economic value. His shareholding is an economic value to him at some point. So the shareholding that he'll have in Como will be at some point when it's sold, he'll get a material worth for the business because in relation to the percentage of equity that he has. Interesting, because I haven't really followed what Cesc Fabregas has been doing. I'm just looking at his record now. And it's okay. It's pretty good. But it would be another, despite the fact there'd be a relationship between the club and the player, it would be another one of those where there's real risk, and it's whether they go down the route of established, proven track record. And even when you talk about the people that we're talking about, which is Glasner and the Bournemouth manager, there is again the same conundrum of, can you translate, and we know that Glasner's been at Eintracht Frankfurt, but can you translate from a club that is appreciative of a modicum of success to a club that demands it as a staple diet? And there's only a rare breed of manager that can do that walks into a room and you go, that's the leader. And whilst these guys have been brilliant at improving players, look at the improvement in the players at Bournemouth and look at what he's had to work with. Look at constant improvement in all the players. And then he loses them, he improves again. I think Fabregas would be a reach, but you never know with these guys.
What does logic tell you at the moment? You know a good one from a bad one. If you sat down and thought about it, and I know you haven't interviewed anybody regards the position at Chelsea, but if you're Bowley or Igbali, who's your top 3?
Well, Well, look, I mean, I like Alonso, despite his time at Real Madrid being a bit of a car crash. I think what he did at Leverkusen was brilliant.
Yeah.
I like him, and I'd like, if I had an opportunity, and Chelsea should have an opportunity, I'd want to talk to him. I do like the three managers in the Premier League. I do think that all of them are worth a very educated conversation to see if they've got enough in amongst them now. Knowing what you know now, 4 years into the job, you've seen the different peculiarities of owning a football club. You should know what a manager looks like now,
Yeah.
what you need to do and what you have made mistakes on previously. So I'd want to talk to Glasner. Despite the fact that I didn't approve of his outbursts, I think he's a very good manager. And I'd want to talk to Iriola at Bournemouth, because I think he's an excellent, excellent manager on every front, because you never hear a peep out of him about what he doesn't like in terms of what's happened to him, in terms of the players being sold from underneath him. So I'd want those guys in situ.
But you thought Maresca got ahead of himself.
Yeah, I do.
Glasner, to an extent, has too. Might you not do the same in a Chelsea tracksuit?
I think there's a maturity about certain managers that they have certain reactions to situations because they're acclimatised. When you, a lot of people when they first become very wealthy become very stupid about it, and it's an immaturity of not being comfortable in your own skin. Once you're comfortable in your own skin, you haven't got to fight the fights that you used to fight when you weren't in the position that you were in. And I think that was when Maresca became silly. He should have acclimatised to having success, banked the success, built upon it, rather than let it go to his head, is my view.
Yeah.
And top managers don't let it go to their head. They demand what they want because they have a good reason for demanding it, because they deliver the outcomes on what they're given. And so I think any of those guys would be relatively sensible conversations to have. And then when you've drilled into the whites of their eyes and really got into the mechanics of what they would and wouldn't do, and try to create an environment where you're really suggesting what it looks like being the Chelsea manager rather than from the outside in, and they still pass the sniff test,
then
that's when you make an appointment.
Do you want to go into the Scottish Premiership, Sean? Were we done with Chelsea?
What I will say is, when I was asking Jordan, the Chelsea fan, it was Xabi Alonso. I know he's 33-1, but that's who I threw at him. I says he kind of stands out on that list, I would have said. But he was distinctly uninspired by the list, which I have some sympathy for, having looked at the Celtic manager market a few times this season as well, to be fair.
And we know your colleague Jordan's a very demanding man.
He did say that, he's not all in on Fabregas. It was more, he thinks someone that has some sort of impact on the connection between the club and the fans was where he was looking, because he thinks that's just dissipating. FA Cup semi-tickets aren't exactly flying off the shelves, for example. And that he sees the potential upside of him in the role versus others. But as I say, one guy, fan.
It's much overplayed. That idea of bringing somebody back because they were once a player is much overrated. Klopp was not a player at Liverpool, but my word, did he integrate with the Liverpool fans, and did they take to him?
So did Big John Terry have to tell us yesterday that he hasn't been approached? I don't know. Listen, before we speak about the Scottish Premiership, Sean, your club Celtic, James Forrest has just signed on for another year, extending his stay until 2027. He's 34, 350 plus appearances. What a career he's had, hasn't he?
He has, and I'm happy about that. I've got to say, I think the continuity that he offers is something to be impressed by. But more than anything else, I think even in Sunday, I mean, I'll come to the Cup in Sunday in a second, but when he came on that park, he did make a difference, like a tangible difference to what happened in that game in Celtic qualifying for the final. You don't want to necessarily, at his age and experience, be relying on him to start every week. But I think having him about the squad, having him to come in for big moments as a sub or the odd start, I absolutely support that extension.
Good stuff. And on the Scottish Premiership, any news? How's the market going?
Yeah, well, I mean, I gave you a week off hearing about this last week, Simon, but back to it right in time for the first post-split fixtures this weekend. As I say, there was no league games last weekend because of the Scottish Cup. Celtic eventually got the job done against St Mirren. Set up a season-ending cup final, Jim, between Martin O'Neill and Neil Lennon, which I'm sure will be something to behold. But the other side of that cup break story is that Hearts and Rangers both had 10-11 days off ahead of this set of fixtures, while Celtic went to extra time on Sunday. It is actually Celtic who play first this weekend anyway, though. 2-5 favourites to beat Falkirk at home, which I'm seeing as a chance to put some pressure on the other two. They both play Sunday. Rangers at home to Motherwell, who, for all the praise I've given them on here with you guys this season, big praise, they've been way off it the past few weeks. Bottom of the form table over the last 5. You'd expect Rangers to beat them at Ibrox. And then the match of the weekend up here, Hearts, who are still top, and they're still third favourites for the title. I can come to that in a second, but they've got to go to Easter Road for an Edinburgh derby, potentially knowing that Celtic and Rangers have won before them. Even by that fixture standards, that's monumental. Hibs can still get Europe as well as just generally trying to derail Hearts' title tilt, they have got something to play for.
Yeah.
Only Celtic and Rangers have beaten Hibs at Easter Road this season in the league. Hearts have failed to win 7 of the last 10 derbies in Leith. So if they manage to go there, Jim, 29-20 to win, if they do manage to win that, that's a massive statement for how ready they are for this run.
You're absolutely right. You were with me at Easter Road.
I was, yeah. How did they go against Hibs earlier on in the season at Easter Road?
They get beat.
They got beat.
Yeah, they get beat. But to be fair, Hearts...
Well, we're a game and a half that, Sean, Sunday. Hibs Hearts, with everything that's going for them, and how Hibs would love to put a spanner in Hearts' works.
Oh, absolutely.
In that one.
I mean, we've got a foot in all the camps to some extent, because I really like Danny Rowe, and I think he's done really well to go up there and correct the problems that were brought on Rangers. Obviously, we've got a relationship with Martin, and most of us want, maybe you don't, but most of us want Hearts to win. Because it just changes the direction for the Scottish Premier League, gives it a different profile. Yeah. So there's a foot in all camp. I think my nose tells me that Rangers are going to come through this.
You think?
I do. I think they're the better. I mean, I hope it's Hearts. I really do. I hope if they can go up to Easter Road, as you guys are talking about, and beat Hibs, and that's a statement in of itself.
Well, let's ask Sean, ardent Celtic fan Sean. Do you agree with Simon? Do you think Rangers will end up with the title, Sean?
Well, as I said before, Hearts are still top of the table at the moment, but as I said, they're third favourites in the odds, 13-5. Celtic 2-1. Rangers are the favourites, to be fair, at evens. I think a case can be made for all three.
Yeah,
winning it still, I reckon, lads. I mean, Celtic, it's about goals, but there's a Martin O'Neill effect. I mean, I know this is very much looking at it in a vacuum, but if you look at Martin O'Neill's 2 spells, he's taken, I think, over 84% of the available points. Definitely outstrips the other two. I know you can't look at it in a vacuum. There's a full season. Rangers, I think I'm right in saying, I know we're 33 games in. If you look at the last 32, Rangers have had most points, so they are essentially the form team. And I think Hearts have actually taken more points off of Celtic and Rangers than either of them have taken off the other two. So there's an argument for all three of them. You mentioned Rangers. You thought Rangers would edge it the last time I asked, Jim. Are you still on that?
I am, I must be honest, but I do see the sense of what Simon is saying. No better time for a club outside the old firm to disrupt, and Hearts have done so well this season. So it would be poetic justice if they can hang on and win this thing, Sean. I really truly believe that. Night 12 in Liverpool for the Premier League darts, Sean. BetMGM Premier League darts. I do beg your pudding.
Yeah, but Stephen Bunting's home night, he's a 12-1 rank outsider for a home win, which nobody's managed to do yet this season of the players who've had a home night. Johnny Clayton won again last week as a 15-2 shot, and as I said last week, tremendous value in anyone outside of Luke Littler in the night winner odds, really. He is favourite again here at 13-8. Everyone else 4.5-1 or better. Clayton now 5 points clear at the top. Littler did make the final again, so he pulled kind of clear of the chasing pack as well. Luke Humphries, I mean, we keep waiting on him to burst into life. He made some moves last week. He made the semis, so he's 5th now. But first up for him tonight, Jim, is Luke Littler. So big match there. That's actually the last quarter-final of the night. We kick off with Jan van Veen, 23-20 underdog against Gerben Price, who won in Liverpool last year. Bunting then takes on Clayton. It's Josh Rock versus Michael van Gerwen, and then the two Lukes. As always, give you the odds for a 9-darter at 6-1, and we're probably due a second of the season. We've only had that one way back in night 3 or 4. Josh Rock hit one in Belfast. We have, however, had 7 170 checkouts over the past 7 weeks. One of those tonight is over even money. 2 or more 10s, and a big fish and a 9-darter is 14-1, Jim. And if I can just do one last thing, a nod to our very own Lord Robertson, who's at the darts tonight in Liverpool ahead of his stag do this weekend in his spiritual home on Merseyside. So I presume the top hat and monocle are well and truly off this weekend.
My good. So Charlie Robert ahead of his stag do.
Yeah.
So the sensible money there is that he's going to press on and get married. Who is the unfortunate lady? Do we know? Sean, have you met this lady?
She goes by
wish you well. Never too late, mate. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Be gamble aware. Zerg.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Arsenal have been reeled back in.
They are the title in the hands for months and months, and 3 weeks ago they had 10 points. It's not losing against City, as we said. You know, it's not losing against City that annoy me the most, because there is no shame of losing against City. But it's the game before that, Bournemouth. You know, when you lose the 3 points at home, the way they played, I watched the game. I was so. I'm not going to say the word on the radio because. But you understand what I mean.
It was flat, wasn't it? It was flat.
Yes. No desire. I think they had no idea what's going on the pitch, and I think they didn't understand exactly what it takes, you know, to win the Premier League, especially when you have to fight against City. This team is amazing. You know, they're acting like as a champion every single season. So,
did you say that you don't think some of these players know what it takes?
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals and taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Heading towards Spencer Oliver time at 12 noon. Before that, Scotland fan Craig Ferguson. This is a special lad. He's on his tartan trek, walking over 3,200 miles across the US, starting in LA and finishing in Boston, in time for Scotland's opening game at the World Cup, all in the name of charity. He's walking right across the US of A. I caught up with Craig to find out where he is on his journey.
As of last night, we hit a huge milestone, and that was halfway. I have officially walked half of the United States on foot. It is incredible, but a huge milestone, so I'm absolutely buzzing to hit it, but long way to go.
So where exactly are you? I mean, for those who don't know, you're walking from LA to Boston. Where are you now?
That's right. So I am trying to be the first person in history to walk the entire length of America while wearing a kilt, and we've made it to Kansas City. So I'm in Kansas City, which is actually one of the host cities here for the World Cup, which is just amazing. So a small taste of what's to come for me in Boston when we get there.
Brilliant, mate. Are you on schedule?
At current, yes, but I always knew with this challenge that it was going to be really tight, to be honest with you. From about here on out, we're looking at about 50 odd days left, but there isn't really much time for error at all. If I want to make it to the World Cup in time, it's going to be extremely close. I'm going to need to walk 30 miles every single day without stopping, but I think I've got it in me.
Craig, it's incredible, mate. How many states have you crossed? Do you know?
So we have crossed 6 states so far, but in about an hour's time, I'll be into my 7th state of Missouri. So far, we've done California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Kansas, and coming into Missouri now. So 7 out of what I believe is 18 states in America. So I'm going to be fairly well travelled in America once I've done this.
Oh man, well done. So it's a 1 marathon a day you're walking, really?
Yeah, that was the initial plan. The initial plan was to walk 1 marathon every single day, but I don't think I've walked less than a marathon in any of the days. It's been closer to about 33 to 35 miles every single day, which, again, I knew it was going to be close. I knew it was going to be tight, but for me to even get the idea off the ground, I had to tell some people a couple of white lies in terms of how many miles it was going to be. I knew deep down that I would have had to push a little bit further, but it's been amazing. You know, I think that's probably the hardest part about the challenge is, you know, it's all well and good getting up and walking a marathon or 30 or 40 miles every single day, one day, but it's going to sleep. It's waking up the next morning and it's going again. You always know that once you've done a day, it's not the end. You need to get up and go again. And I think it's that kind of perseverance which makes the challenge far harder than just a flash in the pan. You do it once and that's you. So it has been unbelievably challenging. You know, I'd be lying if I sat here and said Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been swimming the full way because it's not, a challenge of this size. You're always going to have really, really difficult moments throughout, but, I just try and keep a smile on my face and crack on with it.
Mentally, is it tough? As tough as it is physically?
I think so. I mean, I always knew that was going to be a challenge coming into it, and I think that's why, it ties into the reason why we're doing it so much. I walk this not just because I'm a crazy football fan and I want to go and watch Scotland at the World Cup, but I do it all for the deeper message at the heart of it, and that's to try and raise as much money and funds and awareness as possible for mental health support. And, if that's through the medium of walking very far distances, then, that's how I can create a little bit of positivity. But I think in terms of the mental toll it's had on me, I think that one thing that is definitely apparent is that you have so much time in your own head, and overthinking becomes, you have a thought and it grows arms and legs within the hour because you just have so much time in your own head and think about everything that could go wrong and all these different things. But the flat plains of Kansas that we've just crossed over the last 17 days, I always knew that with zero things to see, and I mean zero, Kansas was a beautiful place in terms of the people, but the scenery, there wasn't too much there. And I always knew that areas like that were going to test my mental capacity far more than they would physically. So, there's been challenges all the way through, but again, Jim, all the hurdles that I need to jump over, it just makes the story that much sweeter when we get to the bottom at the end of it.
Are you keeping in touch with events at home? Your beloved St Mirren lost out to Celtic, the Cup semi.
I was listening to the commentary, and when we equalised, I was jumping about the streets of Kansas. I was like, yes, we've done it. Look, I've got another mission to focus on. The football and the events back home are secondary, but it does keep me entertained, just not when we're getting beat 6-2 in semi-finals. But by the by, we've already had our fun for this season.
Well, this is true. What do the Americans say to you?
Do you know, the Americans have been so supportive and amazing so far. Initially I had a little bit of apprehension, thinking, are they going to understand what a kilt is? Are they even going to know that the World Cup's on, etc.? But to be honest, everyone's been absolutely brilliant. Most people, hey man, I love your kilt, I love your outfit, and then they're just asking, what are you doing, why are you doing it? And as soon as you get into the sort of crux of why I'm actually doing it, the deeper meaning, people are so supportive. They try and help out in any way. So yeah, I honestly, I couldn't thank the people that we've met along the way enough. There'd be far too many people to shout them out all individually. But yeah, people have been so kind, and I appreciate it with all my heart.
Craig, very briefly, on a serious note, you told me there was a personal reason for you wanting to do all this. You told me back in London. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the reason why I ended up getting into all this mess, the reason why I kind of made this promise with myself to go out and try and make a little bit of difference is I seen the effects of mental health and sadly suicide firsthand. My best friend, one of my best friends back home, Struan, Russell, his father sadly took his own life about 7 years ago, and seeing that effect firsthand, seeing someone so close to me lose a loved one like that, but then also the impact that it had on him, his family, and everyone around him, it really stuck with me forever. And when me and Struan were kind of planning how we were going to get to the Euros back in 2024, he kind of nudged me to say, you should do something crazy like walking there. And when that idea ended up materialising and I ended up doing it, I thought the last thing, that I could do in order to thank you is to give back to Russell and his legacy and try and create a little bit of positivity. So I've seen it firsthand. I've seen the impact of mental health, and I've lost loved ones along the way. And I think that so many people listening to this will have as well. And I think that's the sad reality of the way that mental health issues are in the UK right now, is that this isn't a one-off story. It's not just as if, Struan's story and Russell taking his own life as an isolated incident. It's we're seeing it everywhere, and so many people feel the impact of it. And that's why I really hope people can rally behind this, metaphorically walk with me and support this challenge, get donating, because it'll mean the absolute world, not only for the reason why I'm doing it, but to everyone else who's ever been affected or lost someone to suicide.
Craig Ferguson, you are an absolute star, isn't he, Simon? What an effort.
Doesn't he speak well? I mean, when you think about it, you think, wonder how difficult it can be. But when you're listening to him talk about the challenges. I mean, got to walk 20, 30 miles every day, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's not just doing it for one day; it's doing it every single day, and that must be the challenge. I mean, it must be such an experience. He'll have something to talk about in years to come.
Absolutely. Well, he's crossing 7 states as he walks. In fact, 7 states so far, and he's only at the halfway stage. But if you want to support Craig on his way across America and towards his £1 million target, that's the target he set himself, head to www.thetartantrek.co.uk and you can donate to his chosen charity, Scottish Action for Mental Health. Craig Ferguson, well done. See you in New York, I hope, Craig. Just gone 12 noon.
You found the mask?
Yeah, I found the mask.
It's just who we are, mate. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I hope you lost it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Mate, do you know, it's half hot in here. And I can't... So you don't realise what it's like. I've had Arteta on. I'm going to have to take this off, mate. Well, I can't.
No? You what?
Wow, it's hot. I've got to take my top off, mate. I can't keep doing this, mate. I can't keep doing this.
What is going on?
What? What do you mean?
What is this?
What's what?
Is this talkSPORT merch?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh my God, he's got a shirt. You've now got a shirt on. You're kidding me. What is this shirt? What is this?
I don't know what you're on about, mate. I just knocked this whole thing up.
So for people who are not watching on YouTube right now,
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon with your sports headlines on talkSPORT. I'm Will Hobbs. As Blueco look for a 6th permanent Chelsea manager in 4 years, an important question becomes who would want the job right now. We understand Andoni Iraola's the leading candidate. Here's talkSPORT presenter and Chelsea fan Olivia Bazaglo.
With the situation at Bournemouth and the setup he had there, and I just don't know if Andoni Iraola would even come and work at Chelsea. No. I just think it's a complete mess at the moment.
Under-21 coach Callum McFarland steps up again after a senior sacking. He took charge for 2 games in January. John Terry's currently amongst the academy staff as a part-time mentor. Will he now be involved with the first team? Here he is on TikTok.
I'm not sure what Callum's backroom staff is going to look like. I've not had a call. I've not had a message. I will be continuing my role in the academy.
Take on Leeds live on talkSPORT this Sunday in the FA Cup semi-final. Meanwhile, over 100 people have clicked apply for the new Tottenham first-team psychologist post. The club posted an ad on LinkedIn after Roberto De Zerbi said the players needed to change their mentality. Bryson DeChambeau is apparently working on a new Live Golf contract despite uncertainty over Saudi funding. Meanwhile, Barry Hearns told us talks over Saudi snooker events are ongoing.
Snooker's in a very strong position. We've got a lot of customers that want events and not many days. So if we get to that situation, we've got plenty of homes for other events.
It's understood FIFA have no plans to replace Iran with Italy at this summer's World Cup. That's despite one of Trump's special envoys writing to Trump and Infantino to request it. He's an Italian. And tributes have been paid to Mr. Blackburn Rovers Tony Parks after his death At the age of 76, the former player and coach was one of the longest-serving employees in the club's history from 1970, concluding in 2004. There's plenty more as ever on talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
We could be facing phone signal shortages and data shortages in the coming months, and the UK's signing a new deal with France to deploy riot police to their beaches to stop small boat crossings. Sinead has more on that in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Our expert technicians can't do your spring cleaning, but they can keep your car's inbuilt safety tech in top nick. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Another fine sunny day and warm for most of us. Chillier along eastern coast, where it will remain cloudy, windy in the southwest.
And in he comes, struts in with his usual confidence and this air of, I'm in control. Spencer Oliver joins us live this lunchtime. Good afternoon, Spence.
Good afternoon, Jim. I'm totally not in control, mate. Just trying to sort these earpieces out. But yep, we're all together now. We're all good.
It did, out the corner of my eye, I saw a fair bit of fumbling going on around both lugs. That's lug is a Scottish word for ear. But you've got there, they're fitted, and you can hear me. Can you hear me, Spencer?
I can hear you, sir.
Good stuff. Good afternoon, Spencer Oliver. A lot to get through in the boxing hour this lunchtime. Not least some of the things that Naseem Hamed said to you two the other day in Top Boxing. Oh my good God, we're going to get to that very shortly. But on a serious note, this weekend the fight in Paris is cancelled following Lawrence Okoli's failed drugs test. Okoli was scheduled to take on the Frenchman Tony Yoka in a heavyweight bout this Saturday night. But Queensberry, the promoter of the event, was notified on Sunday by VADA that Okoli, quotes, returned an adverse finding following an anti-doping test conducted ahead of the show in Paris this Saturday. So that fight doesn't go on. In fact, the whole show doesn't go on. And it was just days ago that Lawrence Okoli was in here with Simon Spencer and myself and said that since stepping up to heavyweight level, he felt great.
Definitely enjoying it more. A little bit too much. So this camp where we've got nutritionists involved and we're trying to trim down. Yeah, because it's like, obviously, because I've been making weight for like 10 years, it's like the stuff that I always had to say no to in camp, I can now say yes to. But then I shouldn't say yes too often is where we're at. So, but yeah, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot like just in training, I can feel the difference. Like I could train for longer, train harder and recover better. So I'm getting a lot more out of myself and I'm able to punch hard and even heavy. I've got a lot of conditioning compared to a lot of heavyweights because I've had to do so much over the last few years.
Well, now that fight no longer goes on, Lawrence Okoli says he hopes sense prevails, claiming the failed test came after treatment for an injury. Nonetheless, Spencer, Simon, not for the first time, it is not a good look in the sport of boxing.
No, it's disappointing, really. Lawrence Okoli, you know, he's an experienced amateur, been on that GB team, so he knows all about the drug testing system. It's disappointing that he's been so naive in this situation. If that is the case, you know, like we know that it was a growth hormone, muscle hormone thing that he's failed for. And yeah, it's just very disappointing, if I'm totally honest, because I don't see how he can be that naive to not know that he's putting growth hormone into a banned substance into his system. It's very disappointing.
This sports theme, Simon, of failed tests, does it show the anti-doping controls are working effectively? Or in some boxers' minds, why aren't the doping risks outweighing what they perceive to be the rewards?
Well, first of all, we know that UK doesn't do enough testing, and the sport that needs as much testing is combat sports. You know, in all the sports, boxing is one of the least tested sports by the amount of people are participating in it, but more importantly, the amount of tests that are being done.
Yeah.
So the challenge is it working? Yes, it's catching people. The things it's catching them for, I mean, is it great to catch Joseph Parker for recreational drugs? I don't know. You know, recreational drugs are not a performance-enhancing drug. They're a debilitating circumstance, and it's a social issue rather than a professional sports one, I would suspect. But notwithstanding it, these are the rules. Look, we were talking the other day on the show about how many participants in sport and boxing are doping. And Spencer had a perspective a few years ago about that, as many as 70%. We were discussing this with Naseem Hamid.
70%.
The challenge is that the risks are outweighed by the potential rewards in the minds of fighters to some extent, and the consequences aren't necessarily hard enough and deep. But no, people that do it, I suspect, believe they'll never get caught. And until you get a regime in, this is one of the things that I would suspect the Turkey Al Sheikhs of the world will try and do, is until you get a regime which tests all the fighters all the times, you're going to have consistently in this space people failing drugs tests, or more likely taking drugs to enhance their opportunity and not actually being tested.
And because they're not getting punished for it, Jim, because they, some of them are not getting bans, some of them get minor bans, depending the magnitude of the fight, seems to be the less punishment that they receive.
Being case in point.
Ryan Garcia,
current middleweight champion of the world, being suspended,
exactly.
But Denzel Bentley can't have his world title.
That whole situation with Conor Benn, and still being able to fight over in America, and all that situation after failing 2 tests and still not proving that his innocence on that one. You just look at it and you go, the risk versus reward. That's why I believe that there's so many fighters at that level, elite level, that are doing it because they know the other guy's doing it, and they're not really getting punished. I think when they need to change the system, the way of overcoming that is by putting like a life ban on them. If you put a life ban on them and you go, well, is that fair? Because they may not know. Listen, when I was boxing, to give you an idea, 27 years ago, when I was boxing, you get the lists of you cans and you can'ts, right? So you know what you can take, you know what you can't take.
Right.
If you get a cold and you think, right, I've got a fight coming up in a week, I've got a cold, so I need to take, can I take paracetamol? You're looking on the list. Can I take Nurofen? You're looking on the list. Can I take night nurse? You're having a look, you're going through. So if you are...
But isn't that you looking back as an older, wiser man?
No, it's not.
Is it not?
No, it's totally not. Like what I'm saying is, Simon, a fight of this magnitude.
It makes sense. That.
What I'm saying is, you should be. It's strict liability. You should be checking what you're getting.
But if you asked 90% of the fighters at 21 years of age what strict liability means, they probably wouldn't know. Second thing is, if you look at say for Billy Joe Saunders, when he got tested and failed a drugs test on a particular situation that was in law in one state, outlawed in another state. It was a medication, I think, for asthma of some shape or description, but he was able to use it in Massachusetts, I think, outside of 48 hours before a fight. But in a different state, it was you can't use it as an in-competition stimulant. So there's lots of inconsistencies about the methodologies that are being deployed to communicate the messaging, and also different sets of governances in different sides of the same state.
VADA should be clearer.
But what I'm saying is,
it's not just WADA. It's WADA.
But listen to this. They send you every 3 months or so. These governing bodies, whether it's UCAD, VADA, whoever it is, you get sent a list of you cans and you can'ts. Like the tick, and if you've been taking something that you shouldn't have been taking, whatever, you have to tick that list and explain yourself, basically.
Yeah.
So look, I just think that certain fighters, when they're at a certain level, they're not stupid. They understand what it is. If you're taking a growth hormone or a muscle hormone thing for your elbow or whatever, surely you're checking on the list whether it's within
but also by the
standards.
But also by the same token, I mean, Lawrence is not stupid. He's not an unaware fighter. VADA testing and certainly WBC testing comes in 2 packages. One is for the fight testing. The other is the clean boxing campaign, which is you have to volunteer for. And once you know you're inside the top 15 of the WBC, which Lawrence most certainly does know, because ultimately he was the WBC number one.
Yeah.
He was also in the WBC rankings as a bridgerweight and WBC as a cruiserweight. So he's well conversant with the regime. So you look at these things and you think, how do these things happen? His explanation is very clear and concise, that he believes that he's taken a supplement to deal with an injury. But you have to work out, we've got Joe Gallagher in his corner, you've got experienced operators around. How do you take a substance that you fall foul of? You can give the explanation immediately, you know what you've taken.
Yeah.
How did you take it then if you didn't know that the substance contained
That's my point. That's my point exactly.
Right. Well, the investigation goes on. Lawrence Okoli is saying he hopes sense prevails. Having said that, is the court of public opinion sometimes the most damning, Spencer, in doping cases?
As in what?
As in the boxing public.
Yeah.
Maybe many of them have made their mind up already.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Like without knowing the facts, and that's what I'm saying with this case with Lawrence Okoli. We now know that it's come to our attention. It's GHRP2, which is a growth hormone thing that he's failed on,
right?
But we don't know the ins and outs of it. So we got to give him that time to come back with a reasonable explanation on how that's got there. He's not done that.
Everyone always has an explanation. They always have an explanation. But the interesting thing is,
but whether it's a valid one,
what is is your question? What is the public reaction then go towards the fighter going forward? Well, ask them about how they feel about Tyson Fury. Ask the world how they feel about Canelo Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that have failed drugs tests. Ask them how the audience participation is with Conor Benn right now. Ask them how the audience participation is with Ryan Garcia. Because these are people that are on the world stage, biggest numbers, getting the biggest rewards, being lauded and applauded, being given the biggest opportunities. So really and truly, it would appear that the consequences, if you can tap dance your way around a drugs failed test, which Conor did, or if you can navigate it like the Tyson Fury did by saying it was wild boar stimulants or something, then ultimately you've got a situation where no one seems to really care until someone dies in a ring and the person that they get beaten up on as a result of fails a drugs test, then there'll be carnage.
And that's why I'm so passionate about it, Jim, and that's how I've come up with a figure of saying, it's as high as, it'd be more than half of them at elite level, I would say, are taking some form
Understood. Well, the man that Lawrence Okoli was due to fight, the French heavyweight boxer Tony Yoka, is now left without an opponent, of course. In fact, the show doesn't go on. Tony Yoka joins us next.
Vincent Kompany's side have won their 35th Bundesliga title at the weekend, have made adding another winger this summer a top priority. Gordon's thought to be open to a move to the Bundesliga, even though a starting spot, the Allianz, is not guaranteed. Sources reveal the England international has already spoken to Harry Kane about life in Munich. Newcastle United reported to be willing to sell, providing their valuation of at least £75 million is met. Do you think that there's a possibility that Bayern might balk that valuation, Coisty? 75 million? It's a lot of money. I mean, he's a,
good player.
Fully fledged England international.
Oh, 100%, mate. 75 million. Far too much. Good player. I like him. Hasn't shown any level of consistency in the league. I would say best form's been in the Champions League or certainly Europe. Would he be interested in going? You better believe he would. I mean, if you're Anthony Gordon, crikey, a move to Bayern Munich, why would you not?
But because you might not play every week.
I know, I get that, and I was just about to say, you look at it. I've got Musiala, Diaz, Guerrero. I mean, Elise, Harry Kane.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals and taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
It's heavyweight season on DAZN on May the 9th. Don't blink. Fabio Wardley makes his first defence of his WBO heavyweight title against former IBF champion Daniel Dubois in Manchester. And then on May the 23rd, it's glory in Giza as Usyk faces Dutch kickboxing legend Rico Verhoeven with the WBC heavyweight title up for grabs. Join DAZN Ultimate now. Get 12 plus pay-per-views a year, including Wardley, Dubois and Usyk Rico at no extra cost. One of the casualties of Saturday night's cancellation is the man who was scheduled to fight Lawrence Okoli, and he is the French heavyweight boxer Tony Yoka. Spencer's alongside me with Simon here in studio in London. Tony Yoka joins us live this lunchtime. Tony, good afternoon to you. What was your reaction when you heard the news about Okoli?
I was disappointed about it because I wanted to fight. You know, of course, I was ready. It's not like it happened a month before. It was just like 3 or 4 days before the fight. So, of course, I was disappointed.
Yeah, Tony, listen, we know what commitment you put into this one. You come over to train with Don Charles, you know, in London, and, you know, financially that's a big strain on you as well. And you don't get any reward. You don't get any of that back, do you, for that? So it is a big kick in the teeth with only a couple of days to go before the fight.
Yeah, it was just like 3 or 4 days before the fight. They just announced you that it's over, and then you don't get the fight, you don't get the purse, you don't get anything.
So, I mean, that is a slap in the face for any boxer who's going about his life with good intent.
It's very unfortunate for Tony because when he was in the studio, he was in very strong form in terms of his belief about this particular outcome. What does it represent now for you? Now, Lawrence has been moved away from this situation. What happens now for you, Tony? Where can they match you next? When can you come out again? Because obviously, if you'd won this fight against Lawrence, who was the number one ranked fighter in the WBC, it opened up a world of possibilities for you.
Yeah,
what happens
now? That
now?
was a big opportunity, as I said. You know, it would have put me in the really good position. So that's why I was really upset about it, and the fact that they just like canceled the whole show was more disappointing for me. But I understand them; it's a business, and I know I had like George Warren on the phone, and he assured me that Queensberry will give me a fight soon. In May, I think in one of those cards, you know, the Dubois Wardley fight, or maybe the Elgovic fight against David Allen. So I don't know against which opponent, and but the fact is I'm ready, and I'm still ready to fight anybody.
So you're ticking over, and hopefully you do get one of those dates, the 9th or the 16th. You come through that fight, Tony. I don't know, you know, the magnitude of that fight, who it will be, but if you come through that one, you know, what does the future look like for you? Because the WBC number 1 spot was up for grabs then. Do you still get the opportunity? Have you had those conversations?
No, I didn't have this conversation because what I wanted, I was just like, okay, maybe if he's out, I can fight for that title with someone else. You know, I want to fight for that position because that's the most important at the end of the day. So I don't know. They need to discuss with the WBC and to come back to me.
Tony, Lawrence Okoli says he hopes, quotes, sense prevails, claiming the failed test came after treatment for an injury. What are your feelings towards Okoli at this time?
Of course, I'm pissed. I have to be pissed because it was a great fight, you know, in Paris, a big boxing event here, one of the biggest that we produced. It was the premiere of Queensberry in France. So everything just dropped because of this test, you know. I don't know what it take. I don't know. He said that he hoped they will clear his name out for him to, you know. But when you are on VADA, when you do some tests, you have to tell them what you're taking. And I'm a professional, you know now at 33 years old that as soon as you take something, you go on the website and you check if it's allowed or not allowed, you know. So you don't wait until the 4 days before the fight, you just pop up and say, okay, I didn't know.
Tony, if by some circumstance Lawrence tap dances his way through this particular situation, a bit like Conor Benn did, would you be prepared to fight Lawrence, knowing that potentially he failed a drugs test? Would you still be prepared to go into the ring with him?
I mean, if they clear his name, why not? I trust the board, the VADA board, to let us know if it's okay. If they say that it's okay, and if he still have his WBC belt, I will fight him.
Tony, it's
'Cause I don't believe in those things. I know some people like cheat like that, but they won't make him a better boxer.
Now, the reason why I asked, Tony, is because I'm being a bit unfair, but there's this big outrage about fighters failing tests. And every time you ask a fighter about their attitude towards fighters that failed tests, they want sanctions. They want people out of the sport. They want people banned. Yet they'll go back in the ring with them if it suits them. And there has to be some seriousness from other fighters as well. I understand it's difficult to be sort of, an outlier when the opportunity presents itself and be a martyr for a cause. But fighters not being prepared to fight people that have failed drugs tests previously is one way of also providing a solution to the industry, stopping people from cheating in the first place.
No, if it was cheating and if it was something like banned because it was bad, it should be sanctioned, of course. And it should be like sanctioned like strong, not like just 5 or 6 months, years,
Tony, you said it yourself there, though, don't you? Like the incompetence of it all, because if you're taking something like you need it for whatever medication or an injury, etc., 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 you're going on the website, you're looking at what it is because of the magnitude of the fight.
Yeah, you're just looking at it. It's simple.
It's actually, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that,
Tony, how do you manage yourself now? You've been prepared. You've gone straight up, almost up to the finishing line now to be prepared for a fight. You're now potentially looking at a fight that may happen in 4 weeks' time. What do you do with yourself now? You've brought yourself to the peak, ready to go in the ring in 72 hours or 96 hours, and then someone tells you that the opponent's failed a drugs test. What do you do with yourself now over the next 4 weeks to make sure you maintain the peak that you're at and don't lose it for the fight that you then get given in May?
I went back to France for the fight weeks, for the fight week, and now I just have to go back to the farm. I have to go back to the farm gym and train over there,
Tony,
I'm in a good shape, and I don't want to lose it. That's what I told Queensberry. I said, look, I don't want to lose that shape. I think I'm really ready for anything right now. So just give me a fight, whoever it is, just give it to me.
Tony, we can't have you on live this Thursday lunchtime without mentioning this. That in 2018, you were suspended for 1 year after missing 3 drugs tests within a 12-month period. And during that time, you couldn't be located. Is there an element of hypocrisy on your part here?
No, definitely not, because it wasn't the same thing. The French anti-doping organization is different than VADA. VADA comes to you on the training camp, on the fight week, on the day when you fight. The French thing, I missed a 3 drug test because I was on holiday after Olympic Games. So they tested me before Olympic Games. They tested me at the Olympic Games. Then for 6 months, I was Olympic champion. I was enjoying myself, For 6 months, I just went on holidays, on a tour around the world, and then they wanted to test me. Why you want to test me when I'm on holidays? That's something that's not even understandable. So I wasn't, when they said they're going to suspend me, I was laughing. I was just like, they're not going to suspend me. I was on holidays. It's not even like I've had a drug test before a fight, but they just suspend me for 1 year. I was like, okay. I just took it. And then now I pay someone to remind me every day. He calls me every day at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. to ask me where you're going to sleep so I can put the address, So I have since that day, I have never felt like missed any drug test.
Good man. And you appreciate we had to put that to you. Tony Yoka, thank you for your time once again, and we will see what happens in the days and weeks that lie ahead. But what we do know is that you will not be in the ring. In fact, nobody will be in the ring in Paris on Saturday night following Okoli's situation. Thank you so much, Tony Yoka. It's 12:30 and we're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
What happened, though, Jack?
Oh, mate, look, it was gutless and spineless performance. I'm trying to choose my words, but I'm so angry and I'm so disgusted with that performance. That is, first off, I don't know what that was. That was absolutely turgid, disgusting. And do you know what? It's getting worse. It's getting worse. And that, Brighton are a good side. I mean, they caught us at a good time. No, they are a good side, by the way.
Good team.
They are. But that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And do you know what? We got Leeds at the weekend, okay? And I'm telling you now, we ain't winning that game. We are not winning that game. We're getting dumped out the FA Cup. I don't know where the next victory's going to come from. I don't know where the next shot on target's going to come from. Absolutely disgusted. I am. I think it's the worst performance that I've ever seen, and I've played in a few as a Chelsea side. I genuinely, I can't think of a worse performance than that. I genuinely can't.
No encouraging signs.
I cannot think of a worse, gutless, spineless performance.
No signs?
I just can't think of a worse performance.
Any signs?
Encouraging signs? No, disgusting signs.
Any good signs?
Disgusting signs. Disgusting.
Goal difference could still decide this Premier League title. Arsenal are now second, but play twice before City go again. Here's how Gabia Bonglahor would prepare the Gunners for Newcastle this weekend.
No messing around, no quotes, finishing only in training, Havertz, crosses and headers. Guys, we can probably get +6 goals before Manchester City play again.
City's 1-0 win at Turf Moor relegates Burnley, and Scott Parker's not sure if he'll even be there next season. Now a change-up is needed at Chelsea, where under-21s coach Callum McFarlane's back in charge. Following the sacking of Liam Rosenior, academy coach John Terry's posted on TikTok, worried about the state the club's got itself in.
Because I'm looking at us needing the manager after the weekend. I'm not sure when ownership are going to make their decision and bring a new manager in, but is a real top manager going to come to Chelsea Football Club at the moment in the position we're in?
Chelsea v Leeds in the FA Cup semi-final is live on talkSPORT this Sunday. Now, as the race for automatic promotion from the Championship goes down to the wire, we asked Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna if he'll be watching Millwall at Leicester tomorrow.
No, I never do, especially at this stage of the season. All the mental energy needs to go into your own games, and you can't afford to, certainly as a manager, I don't think, waste too much of it in front of the TV screen.
And in Rugby League, 4-time Super League winner Brian McDermott is the New England coach. He takes over from Sean Wayne. The former Leeds Rhinos boss McDermott is the most successful coach in Super League history.
Let me tell you, folks, the latest episode of Top Boxing with Simon Spencer and Paul Smith is out now on the Top Boxing YouTube channel. And the boys were joined in studio this week by former featherweight world champion Naseem Hamed. He had a lot to say, did Prince Naz, including the continuing war of words with his former stablemate from the Brendan Ingle gym, Johnny Nelson. Now, in recent months, the new film Giants was released, which chronicles the career of Naz. But when he appeared on talkSPORT to promote the film, he claimed Ingle was money obsessed.
He was so money orientated, money motivated, and all he'd be talking about is money and what happened with his other fighters. And I just got to the point where I just thought, this guy's intention, the true intention, it's money. And that's how he could say to me at a young age, try and pin me down from 11 years of age and say, listen, you know, you promised me when you was 11, you did a deal with me at 11 years old, that you give me 10 million once you make 40 million. The fact of that alone shows you who that man is.
Johnny Nelson wasn't over pleased with Naseem's assessment.
I thought it was disgusting what he was saying because I thought personally they were lies. I thought that's not the Brendan I know. Brendan was never about money. I said it many times. Brendan died in the same house he'd been in for 40, 50 years. Naz was the guy that moved to the posh side of town, bought Lamborghinis, Ferraris and Porsches. So when he talks about money, he paints a picture of Brendan that was, to me, completely wrong. And I thought, when I heard it, I thought, how do you think I'm going to not say anything?
Well, now, when Naz has now reacted once again to Johnny's comments, and when he was in studio with the boys the other day, he did not hold back.
When I look at Johnny saying these things, the only thing that comes to mind is Johnny wants publicity off my name. But you know what? I always realised afterwards when I analysed Johnny, there was only ever one snake in that gym. Johnny was frightened, he was so frightened of his own shadow, Johnny. It's unbelievable of an overachiever in boxing what Johnny did, because firstly, Johnny needs to realise the truth about him and his career. And that is, without me coming from the same gym as him and opening the doors, I begged Frank Warren. I said, Frank, please put him on my undercard. Who did he ever entertain? And I'm telling you, if I wasn't the person that was in that gym that made sure that he got a fight and made sure that Frank Warren let him on them, I honestly don't think and don't know if he'd have won a world title.
All right. Well, former WBO cruiserweight champion Johnny Nelson joins Simon, myself and Spencer this Thursday lunchtime. Johnny, good afternoon to you. This is some war of words that he's got for you, isn't it?
I suppose it set the cat amongst the pigeons, but when my phone was on fire when the show was on, and I'm like, what's happened? And then when I watched the show, I smiled to myself. I thought, this kid's delusional, and I thought, you basically got pulled up. It's like a child. I suppose it's like having a dog that keeps biting you. And so you teach the dog to stop biting. If you don't teach the dog to stop biting you, it's going to run wild and bite anybody and everybody. Naz needs to be checked. He needs to be pulled into order. He needs to say, you know what, when you say wrong, when you come out with this BS, I'm going to check you. Unfortunately, people don't do that. I got to give it Simon. I have big respect to Simon, because Simon's like, he kind of pulled him a bit. He checked him a bit. And Naz was trying to have a push and a pull with him. And Simon held him to account. And so Naz kind of, he wouldn't listen to that. And I've got to give him respect for that, because he gets a lot of stick. But I think the problem with Naz is, too many people are compliant by letting this kid run his mouth off, talk garbage and not question what he's saying. Because it's Naz. Naz is TV gold. On the show, he was a little shit. I had to call him out.
Johnny, where did the relationship break down with you and Naseem Hamed? When did it all start? Because I know you were close back in the day. You trained together, you won world titles together. Where did it all go wrong?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think it started to go wrong when the partner of ways with him and Frank and him and Brendan came about, and he wanted most of us to leave the gym and go with him. I was never going to do that. This is his fight. This is his argument. And you try your hardest not to get involved in other people's wars. And and the pressure was kind of subtly on there to try and jump ship with him, and I wasn't going to do it. And so if he took offense, if it hurt him, if he didn't like it, he saw his friends in the gym become independent of him. And they always were independent of him. We just lived a great life together. We all had a great fun together. And when we were all together, if I'm doing bad, you're going to tell me, you're going to call me names, we're going to have a laugh. He got to the point where he could. So that's where it grew. I think he surrounded himself with paper soldiers. He surrounded himself with people that do not check him and put him together. And that's even people that interview him. If they keep letting this boy run his mouth off, he will keep running wild like a wild dog.
Johnny, I would jump in. It's understood. We need to watch our language, Johnny, as we go.
I'm sorry.
Lunchtime. Here's the thing. I sat back and I listened to Naz when he was talking, and I thought, oof, this is strong. So have you been in touch with him?
You know what? First of all, I apologise because I saw it again. I thought, oh. So I apologise for using my bang language. My mum would flip me. Have I been in touch with him? No. This idiot sent me 2 messages since Giant. I blanked him. He sent me 2 WhatsApp messages. I blanked them. I'm not engaging with him because if you give an idiot air, you're feeding him. If you know what I mean. I just blanked him. I just think, you know what? I don't know you. I'm not buying into this. What you're doing is wrong, man. And if you can't accept that, then you're not my kind of person.
Couldn't that be resolved though, Johnny? Like meeting up when Naz, you go back a long way, the pair of you. Is there not a conversation that can be had, or is it past that now?
There's other things behind, but to me, I was always willing to just think, you know what, we were young, we said and did things when we were younger. We were adults now, we've got kids, we've got responsibilities of adults. But then after Giant, I thought, this kid's not changed. And then when I saw the show, I thought, you've just gotten worse. And so, is that the kind of guy I'd class as I don't want to say that's my mate there? Not really, no. Do I admire what he's achieved? Massively. Do I admire the spotlight he put on our country? Massively. But as a person, I've lost complete and utter respect for him because, you know what, he's a walking contradiction.
I have to say, Johnny, I was very surprised because I remember talking to you on Up Front and you talked specifically and explicitly about Naseem with great affection and great regard. So whilst we were putting the cat amongst the pigeons about playing what you'd said about his observations about Brendan Ingle, I didn't expect the reaction that he did. I expected him to bite back at you about the fact you'd criticised him and said some of the things he's disgusting. I didn't think he'd personalised it the way he did. And prior to that, when I'd spoken to him about the film Giant, he'd distanced himself from the film. He'd said, and I think you hear it on the show, that this was a biopic. Because I said, how did you think of it? What did you think of the reaction? He said, well, it wasn't my show. I didn't agree with a lot of things in it. So I thought he'd distanced himself from some of the representations. So I was very surprised. I mean, I was surprised by a lot of things he said, because he is a walking contradiction, trying to defend everything about Conor and making it all about his particular relationship with Conor Benn and Nigel Benn and all the admiration he had for him. So I was surprised at him, and I tried to hold him to account, but like anything with Naseem, it's like nailing a jelly to the wall at times. You know that. I actually think, Johnny, with respect to you, it's beneath you to be drawn into the conversation. He personalised it, he took it to a different space, and I don't think it needed to be done. He could have disagreed with you about the principles of your observations about what he did and didn't say, but he went beyond that. So I'm not surprised with you. I don't think you need to mend any bridges with him. I think what he said was unnecessary and it was vindictive, and he attacked your career, talked about you as an entertainer, attacked the validity and veracity of your achievements, and I think that's unnecessary. But he did it to a few other people. He didn't want to talk about Ben Whittaker. Didn't want to talk about Ben Whittaker.
But Simon, in this world right now, you can look across the water. You've got people that are doing things and people aren't calling them out and pulling them and checking them and saying, no, that's wrong. And so if you let people run wild, keep constantly doing that, and you don't pull people on doing that, they are never going to learn the lesson. They're never going to stop. What Naz will do, he'll probably go quiet for a bit. Someone will put a microphone in front of his face. And again, it'll be like verbal diarrhea that falls out of his mouth. And he can't help himself. That's what I've seen. Do I want to get into the you did this, you did that? It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. He's burying himself. Yeah. Look at the comments. I don't even check comments when I do social media. People saying, have you seen what's being said about him? His words are hanging himself. His actions are hanging himself. People show you who they are because they're showing you. And that's exactly what he's doing. So I just think, I just think with this, I think it's sad. I think it's such a shame because we had the best life. All of us together as friends, we were the great friends, and what I thought. But for the way it's turned out, I don't respect how he's referring to someone that we all loved, that loved us, that had a wife, 5 kids, and spent more time with us than he did with his own people. And you disrespect him like that. I can't respect a man that does that. I just can't.
Johnny, really appreciate you joining us this lunchtime. Thanks so much.
Thank you, boys.
Johnny Nelson with us live on talkSPORT this lunchtime. Stay with us.
The big news is that Liam Rosenior has been sacked by Chelsea after 5 straight Premier League losses in which Chelsea didn't score a single goal. That's their worst record since 1912. Now, Chelsea would have preferred Rosenior to stay and be judged in years rather than weeks, but it simply wasn't possible. And as a consequence, a mid-season change is needed. Even though Rosenior only got the job in January, what I can tell you is that the players have already been informed. They were off today, and Callum McFarland will take charge of the team until the end of the season on an interim basis, and that includes the weekend's FA Cup semi-final against Leeds United at Wembley, and then Chelsea in the summer will do a thorough process to replace Rosenior, but they're going to take their time with that. So Rosenior sacked after that loss to Brighton, arguably Chelsea's worst performance in many, many years.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals and taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
TFI Friday Unplugged is back on Channel 4. Your favourite TV show from the 90s is back. Chris Evans and TFI Friday have returned to their original home of Channel 4 for the next 5 Friday nights from 11 in the evening. Reimagined for 2026 by Virgin Radio UK, TFI Unplugged features A-list interviews, music, classic bits from the TFI archives 30 years on. Watch TFI Unplugged this Friday at 11 at night, Channel 4. And this week, guests include Love Actually and Death in Paradise actor Chris Marshall, actress Emma Laird, and from the archives, legendary rock and roller Sir Paul McCartney. Wowzer. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Spencer Oliver. You'll just need to make do with us this Thursday lunchtime. 2 fighters, guys, on the verge of world title shots. Ben Whittaker, Moses Itoma. Well, let's talk about Whittaker first. Did we see a statement win and performance from Whittaker last weekend? He produced a brilliant first-round knockout against Argentina's Brian Suarez in Liverpool, and that takes his record to 11-0-1. What do you make of Ben Whittaker, Simon, as to where he's got himself to now?
Well, he's another person that Naseem Hamid didn't like very much.
All right.
And didn't want to talk about and didn't think he was worthy of being in the same breath and didn't think that he was even a conversation that Naseem was prepared to have. Got quite testy about that one. Ben Whittaker is progressing. I will only judge Ben Whittaker when he starts fighting what I consider to be more challenging opponents. If he goes in against a Dan Aziz or a Craig Richards, and maybe even a little bit further down the line of Willie Hutchinson, and does to them what he's doing to some of these guys that I think are a little bit tomato canish, then I'll have more to say about Ben Whittaker. I love his style. I love his charisma. I think he's going to be a superstar. But right now, he's knocking people over. I think Liam Cameron's decision in that first fight still rankles with me. There's still part of me that thinks there's a part of that Ben that didn't fancy it when he came on top. And when he gets in against some of the fighters that will stick it on him, then we'll see how far he's going to go.
To give you a yardstick on where Whittaker is on that Brian Suarez victory, he knocks Brian Suarez out in a round, and he does it, and it was quite chilling, calculated, and it was very impressive. Suarez, pushed Lyndon Arthur, who's now the European champion, and he pushed him right up until the final bell. I think he's got stopped in the 10th round, or something like that, with a body shot. But before that, he was pushing him and giving him a good argument. You go, let's weigh it up. Where is Ben Whittaker? The European champion gets pushed to the wire. Ben Whittaker takes him out in a round. So we see improvement.
With you. What we do know about Ben Whittaker is, while he's a boxer, he's a darn good entertainer. And we thought the same of Naseem Hamid, an incredible entertainer, incredible boxer. And yet, Prince Naz Doesn't really fancy much talking about Whittaker.
I ain't got no take on it whatsoever. Do you know why?
Tell me.
First of all, we are far, far apart in ability and in skill, and the world knows that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, before I came here, I said to Spence, Spence, I'm not talking about him. He doesn't deserve me to speak about him.
Why?
So, I'm not talking about him.
But why? Do you not like him as a fighter? Do you not like his style? Do you think he's a...
And I've said what I've had to say about him before.
Right, what did you say?
And right now...
Well, I don't know what you've said, so
I know,
inform
but
me.
right now I've said to you, I'm not talking about him. He doesn't deserve my voice about him.
Did either of you see that coming?
I sort of did, yeah, because I had the conversation with Naz before and he said he didn't want to talk about him. And it goes back to, I'll tell you where it all started from. Ben Whittaker, as if you remember, in one of his earlier fights, come into the Prince Naseem Hamed ring walk. He had the same shorts on, the leopard print shorts, etc. And someone done the interview after the fight and said to him, was you inspired by Prince Naseem Hamed? And he said, Ben Whittaker said, no, I've never watched Naz fight. And Naz was like, that is a disrespect to me as a person. So I'm not now going to give him the airtime to talk about him because the kid didn't even want to recognise.
Very touchy, these fighters, are
Well, yeah, I mean, I sort of understand it from Naz's point. He's going, look, he's done the whole ring walk of me and said that he's never watched one of my fights. But yeah, it's all a little bit, you know, Naz didn't want to talk about him because of that. And that's where it all stems from.
I mean, what was your takeaway after your conversation with Naz the other day?
Oh, he's very likeable. I mean, you know, a lot of the things he says are hypocritical, but he's very charismatic. You know, and when you listen to him describe himself, because his favourite subject is himself, and we were talking about the best British fighters, he does make a comparison. Because I was having none of it. I was like, no, Lennox Lewis. Well, he's Jamaican, and which isn't accurate, by the way, and he's Canadian. I said he was Canadian when he lost I Love Him on Call, but he was British when he beat Mike Tyson. I said, and when he lost, he went back and got in the ring. You didn't, right? But when he talks about what he did and the people that he fought, Tom Boo Bomb Johnson, Kevin Kelly, and all the 15 world title fights they had, and the way that he did it, vaulting over, you know, ropes and coming into the ring in the way that he did, there was such a style and panache. I didn't always agree. I said to him, I didn't like the way you fought Steve Robertson. I thought you took the mickey out of him. I thought you were disrespectful. And he described it. And you come away from the conversation liking him. What he wanted to do was every time he couldn't answer a question was tell me that I should stick to football, which is a standard trope of someone that can't answer the question. But, you know, he takes you on a little journey, and some of it you disagree with. He was very defensive of Conor Benn and Nigel Benn because they're his mates. He was very defensive of very much in the pro camp of saying that people with drugs tests should be banned. And when I talked to him about Conor Benn, it was a case of, no, I'm not prepared to, you know, hang on, he's a good kid. I said, no one's saying he's not a good kid, but make your mind up. Do you want people consequential or not?
Yeah.
So he was a riddle wrapped up in a rhyme, and he personalised things with Johnny, which I think, and the person that comes out of the conversation with integrity, with due respect to Naseem, who was good value on the show, is Johnny, because Johnny's defending the memory of Brendan Ingle, not defending himself.
Yeah.
And Naseem decided to personalise it. But the Whittaker thing, it was ever none of it. Didn't like the comparison, didn't want the comparison, didn't think he should breathe the same air as him, and was wagging his finger about, you know.
I take it,
but that's
I take it Naz didn't really want to talk much when he ran into Marco Antonio Barrera.
We didn't get to that point. Simon was very disappointed about that, by the way, because we ran out of time because we ended up on talking about the best of the British.
I got schooled then.
I did get to the point by saying you can't be the greatest because you didn't get back in off you lost, mate. You had one fight after that. I landed that point.
But to be fair, in Naz's defence on that one with Marco Antonio Barrera, like he's got a good explanation. Yeah, he didn't train properly. The fight had left him. He was not going to. He literally went in there the fight had gone by then, and he explains all that very well. So it's a shame that we actually never got to that point.
Right, back to Ben Whittaker. Where and who next for him?
Well, that's an interesting one because, like Simon said, I think for him it's about that development stage, and I don't think they're going to hold him back too much. But you know, you're talking about your Craig Richards, Lyndon Arthur. He's a great one. He's the European champion. Lyndon Arthur is the perfect fight. There you go, made here live on talkSPORT. I think that's a great fight.
See if he can do all the charismatic showboating stuff and do a job on Lyndon Arthur, because Lyndon Arthur is no mug in any shape or form.
And just quickly, we better mention Willie Hutchinson because, you know, next time you see him, if you don't put his name into the mix, he'll be...
right.
Willie will say there's levels, though, won't he?
Want to finish on Moses Atoma in the minute we've got left. Reports that he's returning July the 25th.
Yes.
And fighting who?
Interesting. there's a number of names that he could be fighting. I think it'll be a fight of some magnitude.
I think it'll be Frank Sanchez, don't you?
It will be someone of that sort of level. Tony Yoka, could he even slip in there if he comes through on the 9th or the 16th? You know, there's arguments there that, you know, they might fight for some WBC #1 spot. You don't know.
Yeah. Can't wait to see Moses again. The problem is blink and you miss it.
Yeah, I mean, and then Naseem talked about him and just said he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This kid's, you know, he even felt that despite the fact to be very early, he even thought they could go on with Usyk and beat him, didn't he?
And do you know what I love about the situation now with Moses Atouma is that he's starting to get that recognition. He's starting to fill out the O2s. He's starting to fill out the M&S arenas. He's starting to fill out, you know, the AO arenas. So that's great because he is the next superstar of British boxing.
Excellent. Spencer, you're always a superstar in my eyes. As for you, I shall see you at a time later. Mr. Simon Jordan. We are coming up to 1 o'clock this Thursday lunchtime, and we're live on talkSPORT. It's expensive as well, living in Paris by the sounds of it, Emmanuel. It's expensive being Emmanuel Petit by the sounds of it as well.
No, so happy to be Emmanuel Petit, you know.
Oh, quite right.
If I was not Emmanuel Petit, I wish I would be. I could be Emmanuel Petit. Honestly, my life is beautiful. You
Well,
know?
let's get into this. What do you like about him?
Well, I always do what I like, you know. I don't do things because I don't want to do it. And this is a luxury, especially nowadays. People will